He's blowing off his Mother's Day visit because his biorhythm wheel said it's going to be an extra critical day and turnabout is fair play. Adam Carolla.
Get it on. Got to get on the Choswick and Amendek. Get it on. Welcome to the show. We are locked and loaded for bear. Chris Distefano is here. Jill Zarin is here. Canelo Álvarez is going to be chiming in about 15 minutes. We'll talk to him. He's got a big fight, big championship fight coming up. Good to see you again, Chris.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for having me.
And good to see you, Jill, again.
So good to be here, Adam.
So you're going to be doing the news.
I am.
And Real Housewives in New York is where we know you from. But it's been a little while, but you pop up now and again on the program.
I do, but yesterday they dropped the trailer for the new, the second season of The Ultimate Girls Trip, which is me with 7 other girls locked up in Bluestone Manor in the Berkshires for a week in last September.
My wife likes that show.
It's a good show.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be a good show.
She enjoys the girls trip. That's sort of all-star reunion thing.
Exactly.
The all-stars.
So that's going to be on, I think, June 23rd it starts. So that's exciting.
It's fun watching middle-aged women fight, I think is what the attraction is. So I think what happens with that show is the ladies watch it, and then the guys, and I can speak for me and Brian, we wandered in the room, and then we go, what the fuck is this? And then we sit down.
Shut off the TV.
We sit on the edge of the bed, and then we go, at a certain point, we go, there's got to be something on Discovery Channel. There's got to be something on
Someone with a ball or
Nat
a wheel.
Geo or something. And then at some point we go, God, the Countess is such a cunt. What is she doing? No, you don't talk to people that way. Now we're in.
I know.
And that's how it
sucks
works.
you in. There's a lot of men who watch the show, straight men who watch the show.
I
A
know.
lot.
You're looking at 2 of them,
One and a half.
possibly 3.
I would watch the show. I don't. I got little kids, so they hog the TV, and then I fall asleep to usually Sports Center or Investigation Discovery. I like that.
Investigation Discovery.
Investigate.
I'm jealous of anyone who falls asleep in front of the TV set.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't do that?
You need quiet?
It's like people who can sleep on a plane. They're the
Right.
same person. They can just fall asleep places. But I'm ultra jealous at the person who can fall asleep in front of the TV while still holding the remote in
Right.
the air.
That's me.
That's my mean grandma.
That's me.
That'd mean
if
grandma.
you can fall asleep with your arm extended,
I
Yeah.
can.
Yep.
essentially doing an iron cross.
No,
Yeah.
how about I have my cell phone in my hand and I fall asleep with the TV on and my phone in the middle of a text. I will fall asleep.
That's
Now,
not so good.
does that
Is that
mean
unbelievable?
you're very centered and relaxed, or super high and out of it?
No, I'm tired.
Oh,
Because I
tired.
get up so early. I play tennis 2 hours a day. I played today.
2
Played
hours
Today, 2 hours?
Yeah.
Wow.
I went to Kathy Hilton's house. I used a tennis court.
Oh, really?
Didn't even say hi. I just texted her, can I use your court? No, nothing bad. I said, can I use your court? Let me in the gates. We went and played and we left.
You have to be a super bitch to go, no, you can't use my court. I prefer it be unmanned.
Yeah.
Pristine.
I like looking out at my villa and seeing an empty court.
I
Yeah.
know. So, no. So, and I'm very tired at night. So I just literally fall asleep at like 9 o'clock with my phone in my hand usually.
I used to get so jealous of Dr. Drew because I was always the person at night that was pacing around and drinking the red wine and trying to knock myself down. And
Used to be?
Yeah. Well, no, because I drink scotch now.
Okay, all right. Carry on.
But I was always, and I was that way when I was a kid. I just, sort of tossing and turning. And when I used to talk to Dr. Drew and I did Loveline, and we did the radio show, syndicated radio show out of Culver City, California. He lived in Pasadena. The show ended 12:01 every night. And it took him 23 minutes to get back to Pasadena and maybe another 2 or 3 minutes to get undressed and in his bed. He would tell me I'm asleep before 12:30 every single night.
Wow.
And I'm like, that means you are falling asleep as you're
you're driving
climbing
home.
into bed.
As
He
you're
would
driving
say,
home.
yes, I am. And I would go, even when I had to do Howard Stern at 3 a.m. in the morning because it was 6 New York time, and
Oh,
I
my
got
God.
back to my house at 12:30 at night, I would still watch an hour worth of TV before I went to bed.
Just couldn't
Yes.
wind down.
People say to me all the time, just go to bed when you get home. And I'd go, where do you work? And they go,
No, I turned the TV on. But like last night, I came back from dinner and I'm in LA, so I'm on New York time, so I'm tired earlier. But I turned the TV on 15 minutes later. I was asleep.
but I would but not watching Real Housewives.
No, I was
No,
watching
you'd stay up
Ozark.
for that shit.
Ozark.
Fell asleep during Ozark?
I know. I'm so upset. I have
Wow.
to go back and watch it now because I missed the whole episode. I did. I fell asleep 15 minutes in.
Yeah, there's people who work a 9 to 5 job who get home at 6. I would say to them, well, then try to go to bed at 6:30.
Yeah.
And they go, that's insane. And I'd go, that's
Right.
the same as me coming home at 12:30 and going to bed
Yeah.
at 12:35. So is everyone out? Chris, are you from New York?
I'm from New York. Yeah, I'm from Brooklyn, but I live on Staten Island now. I moved. I went over that bridge.
Moving on up? Question mark?
Yeah.
Is that as an upward move? I don't know the
Yeah,
area.
it's,
that
well,
well.
because in Staten Island you can have a house
Oh.
with like a backyard and stuff, and
Okay.
Again, I got kids. All my peers, all the comics in their 20s and 30s, they're all like, like really hard, like they go, liberal, and nobody wants to have kids and all that. And I'm like, listen, whatever you guys want to do. I'm all about like I live in the middle. I'm not like liberal or conservative. Really, I was like, I don't need people like throwing Molotov cocktails through my apartment building. So I was like, I went over that damn bridge where most people are like Republican, and we just feel a little bit safer.
The
out
mafia,
there.
the
Yeah.
mafia on the island
Yeah.
has no effect on it though, because half of Staten Island is
Well,
mafia.
here's the here's the interesting thing about the mafia, though, is
They
because
protect where they live.
Well, but it was a lot of people. The mafia was like everybody knew, like not really around anymore and whatever. But because of like how lax the NYPD has been the last couple of years, the mafia is like back. Like
Really?
my father, who when he comes to visit, he lives in Florida now, but he grew up. He was in the 80s, 90s, always running around with those guys, and he would tell me, like, I remember in the early 2000s, he's like, it's all over the mafia, Giuliani, and the mafia is over.
Well, they
and
watch-
now even he's like, all these guys that were in prison
They're
are
out.
out
We're
now
back, baby.
because of COVID stuff, and they're all starting to do the same things. Maybe now it's more digital, or but
Right.
all these little
Cybercrime.
cash things, and somebody just got arrested. It was in the paper. Somebody just got arrested for racketeering, which is like you don't hear, but you haven't heard about that in a while. When the protection rackets, all that stuff. I was like, wow, it's coming back little by
Nice.
little. So it's kind of
Nostalgic.
It's actually not. It's honestly, you feel safe when those guys are around.
Listen, I loved Mob Wives. Mob Wives
Yeah.
was like the Real Housewives of
Mm-hmm.
Mob Wives. It was a great show, and that was on Staten Island.
Yeah, I think all we want out of our criminals is consistency.
That's all I want.
So the worst criminals are the punched that guy in the subway and pushed him onto the tracks, never
No.
knew the person. I think we can all kind of wrap our heads around
Yeah.
this guy's a business, they are the mafia, they
didn't
extract,
pay.
they get money
Yeah.
from their business,
Yeah.
and then we kind of, what it's like? It's like killers versus serial killers. And there's a couple strata of serial killer. So there's the wife that puts the hit on the husband trying to collect the insurance, and we all say, that's between them.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm staying out of this. And then there's the serial killer who's scarier,
Right.
except for they're preying on runaway prostitutes. And you
Right.
go, well, I'm not a prostitute,
Yeah.
so I'm cool. And then there's the scariest strata, which is I'm just killing randomly whomever or punching you walking down the sidewalk.
That's
and
the
then,
scary one.
Then that could be me.
Going to Lover's Lane.
And that's why we sort of wax nostalgic for the mob, because
Yeah.
Principled.
yes, you need an agreement with them.
So, of all the movies, which is your favorite of that era of those mob, movies like Casino or
Well, Casino's good.
Goodfellas, right?
Goodfellas. I will say this: it started off as
Godfather.
Goodfellas, with Casino kind of below it. But the more you watch Casino, the more you get into Casinos.
and Godfather.
You know
Yeah,
which one?
Godfather.
All those are the big ones, but you know which one I think is a sleeper, which is a phenomenal movie, Bronx Tale.
Oh,
Oh,
excellent.
yeah.
That was a
Bronx
good
Tale
one.
with Chaz
Chaz
Palminteri.
Palminteri.
That one, if you just watch, I watched him do. He does a one-man show.
Yeah.
Where he I think it's the exact show that Robert De Niro bought in 1990 to eventually make Bronx Tale. And he still does that same show, like with just him in a chair. And I was like, oh my God, he's like in his 70s now, just ripping through these lines, like
God
crushing
bless.
all the famous lines from the movie. He wrote it all.
Put him
And-
on the map.
Yeah,
It
dude.
shades of Stallone, with Rocky. Like,
Yeah.
you can have Rocky, but I got to play Rocky. And it made his career. Same with Palminteri. Like, he was like, yeah, De Niro, you can have this, but I'm going to play the guy. And,
Yeah, he
which
said
is the De Niro role in most movies.
Yeah, after the show, he said like the story of it, and he was pretty adamant. Like everybody wanted to buy that show from him in the 90s, but they wanted somebody else to play his main character, Pacino or whomever. De Niro was the only one that was like, you can play the main lead. You can be Sonny, but I'll direct it and whatever. And that, Yeah, but that movie, I think it holds up with the other ones, with Goodfellas.
But you
and
know,
Casino.
today, I don't think with the way everything's so woke that we could ever have a good movie like that again. I was watching on the way out here on the plane the first episode of The Sopranos, watching it, and I was watching it like horrified that I know that there's no way they could say those things today. And how sad that is, that you can't even act and say those things. I just think it would not fly.
Did we have a Sopranos movie last year?
Yeah, the Many Saints of Newark, right?
Well, but
Yeah.
no, you had it. Thank you, Brian. But we didn't have the. But they weren't they could have been thinking about what they're saying. Is what I guess Jill's saying.
Right.
It's not. I don't think it's that you can't have certain things. You can't have the version of it pre woke.
The irony is Sopranos was fairly
if you get a
woke for
chance,
its era.
watch it and then comment on it because you'll be surprised. We all don't really remember it. It was so long ago. It was 22 years ago. They didn't have cell phones. He was running to the phone booth to call Tony. I mean, that's how long ago it was.
I miss all movies with phone booths.
I know.
And because when you got bad news, you could slam the phone. God damn it.
And break it.
De Niro pushed the whole phone booth over in Goodfellas.
Right.
You can't do that with your iPhone. You'll fuck it up.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Chris, you were fired from Netflix for making a joke many years ago. Now, ironically, back on Netflix with your very funny special.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
I'm curious what that story was about.
So I, when I got fired from Netflix, it was 2016. It was actually a weird time. It was like a time for comedy when everything changed rapidly. So I was hosting this show for Netflix called The Ultimate Beastmaster. It was like an international competition, like American Ninja Warrior type show, but it was the Netflix version. So I was one of the co-hosts of the USA team, and all these other countries had teams, and we did it in like mid 2016, and all the jokes that Netflix approved were all good, signed off by the executives. And then in November of 2016, when Trump gets elected, there were like those 2-3 months of like chaos where cancel culture like really took off. Then like everything started to swing, and that's when the show came out. So the jokes that were okay just a few months before were like never would have been cleared, but the show was coming out. And I remember thinking back, I was like, I'm gonna get fired as soon as the show comes out. Like and then as soon as it came out, the tweets were like endless from people, because the one that they were mad at was Netflix was like, hey, you can improv a little bit, because they kept making me stick to a script. So when you fell off the obstacle course into the water, they called that the beast blood. And that's what I had to say for weeks. Oh, you're eliminated, fell into the beast blood. And they're like, oh, give us another take. So the Chinese team was going, and their best competitor, his name was Bin Feng, and he fell off the obstacle course into the water. And there goes Bin Feng into the duck sauce. And
why is it
good?
I got fired.
It's a good joke.
I got fired for it. They were like, no. And then I was calling some other kid from India. His name was Rishi Patel. I was calling him Rishi's Peanut Butter Cups. And they were like, no, fired.
I don't even get why it's not.
People are calling me a nationalist. I mean, it was the
Why it's funny or why it's offended?
Why is it offensive? Peanut Butter Cups? I don't get it.
I don't know. And
I don't even get it.
But
I never get
But
jokes.
here's the irony, like everything else.
That's why you're here.
The duck sauce bit when it came out, Bin Feng, the actual person,
love that
retweeted the clip of me saying, there goes Bin Feng into the duck sauce. I got fired by some like woke fat white woman, Barbara, who was like all nervous. She was like, we have to let you go.
I hope Barbara's been fired now.
I'm sure she's probably dead.
Yeah, COVID probably got her.
I guarantee you,
She's
dude,
morbidly
the
obese.
amount of duck sauce she used to eat was insane.
But this is what's so unfair, because it reminds me of Juliana Rancic, and when she got fired, I don't even remember what it was about, but I know that whatever she said were not her words. It was scripted, and it was approved by the network. She delivered
was
the
she
lines.
a Celebrity Apprentice, or was that her husband?
Husband won the
Apprentice,
first Apprentice, and she's on E. She was on E as a host. And she was hosting Fashion Police. And she said something about patchouli or something like that. I don't even know what that means.
remember.
It was something like, but whatever it was, whatever she said was, like you said, scripted and approved by the network. And then she delivered it, and everyone blamed her, and she got fired and canceled. And I don't think that's fair. If the network approves everything you say and they deliver it, for them to like wash their hands and say, "Oh no, we didn't know anything," is not fair.
Well, now I get fired from that, and now I have my comedy special on Netflix, because now all of a sudden, just my life circumstances have put me. Now it doesn't matter what I say, because my actual life circumstances are woke enough. I have Puerto Rican girlfriend, 2 Puerto Rican kids. A transgender nanny that's my girlfriend's uncle, he was in prison for 20 years.
Does your wife know all about this?
Yeah. Nice. So it's like
life.
all these circumstances of my
Yeah, I
life
get it. It
now
takes a minute.
are like all diversity and inclusion and all that. And I'm like, yeah, this is just my life, So now all of a sudden these networks are like, oh, you have an interesting story.
You're
I'm
on
like,
the
I
forefront
thought
now.
it was the duck sauce guy 5
Yeah.
years ago that you hated. You know,
Well-
it's all bullshit.
And well, first things first, all jokes should just be null and void in the fireable offenses. It's just a joke. It's
I
a
think
joke by
comedians
nature.
have to be excluded. Otherwise, there will never be a joke.
I agree.
again.
And number one or number two, we can't simultaneously not stop talking about an honest dialogue. You know, we want to have an honest dialogue about race. We have an honest dialogue about the transgenders. Everything's an honest dialogue. And then there's a bunch of daytime shows with a bunch of yentas sitting around called The Talk or The Opinion or The Think or The Us. And they go, oh, we're just going to talk and it's going to be freewheeling and fast
Yeah, and
moving
then when
and
they
stuff
say
like that.
something, they get canceled.
They get shit canned. You can't simultaneously have this
No.
free and open
No.
forum to discuss
it's a
everything
hypocrisy. Total
extemporaneously and then fire everyone because they tripped
Yeah.
over a word or made some
And what
comment.
happened to like this zero tolerance? Why is there zero tolerance for people and for children? You know, under 18, I believe that kids are allowed to make mistakes. I mean, adults are allowed to make mistakes, but kids really have to make mistakes. And they have zero tolerance in these schools for anything that they do.
I do not like the term zero tolerance. I disagree with it 100%.
that's what I'm saying.
I don't even
like it.
I don't even like smoke-free environments. I like some smoke and some tolerance.
Yeah, why not?
I don't, and the people, and also they announce like this is a gun-free zone until someone brings a gun and
Right.
starts shooting everyone.
Right.
But it's nice that you made the proclamation and let the guy with the gun know
now
no
you
one's
gave them an
firing
idea.
back.
No, gun-free zone says to me, oh, guns. I would never have even thought.
Yeah, now I'm going to
Exactly.
start packing
Thanks for
heat.
planning the
Yeah.
idea.
Mhm. Where do you live, Jill?
Today?
Yeah, today over at the Hilton's house.
I'm at at the Hilton's house. I am in Manhattan,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm in the Hamptons. I'm in Florida.
How's Manhattan these days?
It's great. It's getting a bad rap.
It is.
really is. It's getting a bad rap. New York is great. It's back. It's booming. And like you said, one bad apple, one guy in a subway, a random act of violence, which could have been anywhere from this very demented guy in Brooklyn. You know about this. This
sure.
man went and shot up people in the subway. It's every New Yorker's nightmare, every city that has a subway nightmare. It hasn't happened in 20 years, and there's no reason to think it'll happen again in 20 years. It was a random act of violence.
So
that
you
you're
feel
scared of.
safe walking down
Very
up and down the
safe.
street?
I feel very safe.
How about in the subway? Do you go in the subway?
I don't take them because I don't leave more than like
You're playing
12
tennis with the Hiltons.
12 blocks. Well, I wasn't playing with them. I was using
Oh
the
yeah,
court.
you didn't even say hi
Using
to
their
them.
court.
Right, yeah,
I was just using the court.
Good for you.
Do you? How's the business going?
Business is good. Business is good. We start masks. We started as a mask company. My daughter and I, Allie, who you just met, started a company called Jill and Allie, and now we've pivoted into crystal manifestation candles.
Oh.
So that's
All right.
it's a big buzzword, the manifestation. Next year, according to the futurists, that's going to be a big thing in all areas of commerce, manifestation.
What do we
So
do? How do these things work?
Well, they have really cute sayings on it, like Boss Babe or Good Luck Charm, and it has a stone that kind of goes with what. So, like, we have one about love, and it has a pink rose quartz, which is love in the stone world, to bring love to you. I mean, there's a whole
So
thing
it's just
about
science.
Yeah, it's all science. It's very important that people understand the meaning of each of your horoscope signs. It's supposed to make you feel good.
And what do they smell like? Do each one smell?
Each one's different. Right? So the rose one's obviously rose, but we have like grapefruit and santal and bamboo. And
But you're
these great
doing all the
flavors.
home goods too, right? Or are you still doing that?
So Jill and Allie is my daughter and I doing this business, and then I've had for years a rug business, my indoor-outdoor rug line, which Jill Zarin Rugs, which has been a huge, boom for me. And then I have a furniture line now that I'm selling,
right.
and it's on Amazon and Wayfair and all those stores and Home Depot and stuff.
Chris, pull up some examples.
I need a new rug.
Get 'em.
Do you?
I do.
Yeah, as do I,
JBWeld.com.
actually.
I'm
Send
gonna
me
go.
what you want. You
All right,
got
I'm
it.
gonna get a
And
rug.
what do you
Yeah.
think of Kathy Ireland? Skinny bitch or contemporary or colleague? What?
No, genius. I mean, she was the first one to basically brand things that no one would brand. I mean, I don't know specifically, but like light switches, she put her name on. I mean, she put her name on everything.
Yeah.
There's some
Very
good
smart
rugs.
businesswoman. She has over 500 licenses, I
Is
think.
everything in
Thank
all
you.
the rugs indoor, outdoor?
Half indoor and half are indoor outdoor. And the pricing is incredible. They start at $49 for a small one, and the largest one we have is like $399 for an outdoor and $499 for an indoor.
Good price for a rug.
It's a really and
I'm
they're
in the
pet
market
proof.
for a rug.
So you know,
Super
I have
expensive.
my dog here, right, Bossy? So Bossy was the reason I started this line altogether was because she pees and poops all over my house, and I can't. I've tried.
that's
You
your
don't have
dog-
wee-wee pads?
She doesn't like them.
Hold on.
What?
Well, you know what she
Are
likes?
we talking about your daughter?
My dog.
Oh,
Bossy.
okay. I was looking at the
Her
rug.
too,
Sorry.
Allison too.
Because she's back there and I got a rug.
What
so.
I found is she likes if,
Shit
if
on
I,
the rug again.
I know. If I put the wee-wee pad on the rug, she might go on the wee-wee pad because she likes
Got
to
it.
have her feet soft.
Didn't you
That's
just
what I
tell me your
figured out.
dog was great and well-trained moments
No.
ago when you're trying to smuggle it into my studio? My carpeted studio?
She won't bark and misbehave. But
She'll just
pee and
shit all
poop-
over the place?
She'll shit on the
Well,
table, but as long as there's a
Wait,
coaster.
you can ask Chris, right? When I came here, what was the first thing I did?
She took her out to pee.
That's right.
Okay.
Very
So if this
She's
is
good for at least 2 hours.
if this was a friend and I was like, hey, Chris, I got my buddy Doug and want to go out to dinner with us tonight. He's cool. He's not a big talker. We're going to be able to talk. He may shit on the table, but we're going to enjoy our steaks and our
Exactly.
conversation.
But if you have Jill Zarin rugs, which I'm happy to send you, you'll never have to worry because it comes out 100%. Every stain, including red wine, comes out.
That's
Our
good to
rugs
know.
are stain proof.
Jeez, your dog drinks?
And my dog
okay.
drinks. No, but we do.
I need that because what my dog does, he does not pee or poop anywhere in the house, but he yaks everywhere in the house. And if you took my dog Phil, 110-pound lab,
110-pound lab.
110-pound lab, and
I've
if
never
you-
heard of a lab that big.
Oh yeah,
You're not going
he's,
too long.
He's a big boy. If you took my dog Phil and you put him inside the Las Vegas Convention Center, which has 7,000 acres of concrete floor, and you put a 1 foot by 1 foot swatch of your carpet in the middle of the
Yes.
acreage of concrete, he would find it and throw up on that one postage stamp sized piece of goddamn carpet.
Is it the green? Is it that green throw up?
It's
kind of green.
whatever
Whatever
he
he
ate
consumes.
is what he's
It
barfing.
comes-
But I got
it comes out.
7,300 feet
Okay.
of hardwood in my house and 8 square feet of carpet, and that's what he finds.
I'm going to send you rugs, and you will. I promise you, you will be so happy.
Please.
I swear to
We'll
you.
see.
I had a $5,000 brand new rug in my bedroom when I renovated my apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my other dog, my Chihuahua, and she threw up that green stuff on the corner, and I couldn't get it out of a wool rug.
Mm.
And I sent it out. It cost me $500 to get it cleaned. The guy delivers it. The stain is still not even 100% out, and she hits that spot again within 12 hours.
They know.
Wow.
And then I turned it. I had one turn on it, 90 degrees, to hide that corner. And the next day she did it again in the same corner. I literally ordered a rug. I had just started the rug business, and I threw out a $5,000 rug.
And
there was no
that's-
point in keeping it because she was just going to keep
That's
doing
where
it.
the indoor-outdoor hits you. But even the indoor
No, my indoor ones are all pet proof.
can absorb as much as your pet can throw at it.
A friend of mine had a flood in their apartment, and they weren't home, and my carpet saved their floor.
Nice.
It absorbed
Wow.
it all. Yeah, it's really amazing. You'll see.
All right.
You know what's
Send
worse?
Me out one. Send
What's
Brian
worse
one
than
out one.
pets? Kids. We have a 5-year-old. She's very clumsy, as most 1 through 5-year-olds are. The food, dripping
It'll
this,
all come
food,
out.
Shoes. You know what I mean? But
It'll all
just
come
on the
out.
playground.
The only thing that won't come out is marker, because that's not meant to come out.
Sure.
Chris, how old are your kids?
My 6-year-old and 10-month-old, and then I have an 11-year-old stepson. My 6-year-old is wild with the markers. Wild with the markers.
You can't let him have the ones that don't come out.
I don't know. I mean, whatever. She colors her tongue like she's out of her mind. I mean, even today, the nurse called me and was like, she got a marker. Somehow the marker got stuck on
ate
her
it?
lip. No, it was stuck on her lip. And I was like, what do you mean the marker stuck on her lip? She was like, the marker somehow got stuck on your daughter's lip and we're having trouble getting it off. And then
Oh God!
her mom went down
My
there and
worst
just fucking
nightmare.
ripped it off her
guys.
lower lip.
Do we have a?
Poor thing.
You were referencing your transgender nanny.
Yeah.
First off, how long before we have to stop
Ready to
using?
go?
We keep hearing things over here, Chris.
Was Canelo on?
Before we stop using the term nanny, which some woke douchebag is
We
going to
can't
have
say
a
the word
problem.
nanny?
Not yet.
Yeah.
We can say Manny.
I know.
It'll
In that
go.
sense, I can just properly call her a tranny. She's transgender
Tranny nanny?
Tranny nanny.
That's
Yeah.
what it is. I'm
that is
combining
absolutely
it.
correct.
It's. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's just tran nanny.
You see, if she calls herself that, then it's okay for everyone else to
Well,
call
it's
herself
interesting.
that.
It's my girlfriend's uncle, right? And he was in prison for 22 years.
This is a book or a movie.
No, I swear to God,
Go
named
on.
TT Jerry. He's all over my
I can't.
Instagram. He's on my podcast. So TT Jerry comes out of jail 2 years ago. Came out of jail.
What was he in for?
He went in the 90s for like stealing cars and like stealing stuff, and then kept getting time added on in prison because, you know, what she says, she was like, I was transgender, like nobody was transgender. She was like, I was born this way, and I took a lot of shit for that in jail. But she did have good advice, because I asked her once in the show, I said, if I was going to jail, honestly, what would you tell me to do? She goes, honestly, I would tell you to go trans immediately. Identify as trans immediately. I said, why? She was like, because when you're trans in prison, no, it's a lose-lose situation. If a guy fights you and beats the shit out of you, then he just beat up, you know, in what jail terms is a woman, and they don't like that. They're like, you're a woman beater. If you beat the shit out of him, then his respect is gone, even if he's the top guy. So they rarely fuck with trans people in prison. He goes, that's really why we have our own side of jail. I was like,
how many are
Speaking
there?
of, hold on a second. Speaking of beating the shit out of people, Canelo Álvarez is
Right.
on, who is
He's got the marker on the lip.
going up against Dmitry Bivol.
I know.
And it's a light heavyweight battle. Good to see you, Canelo.
To see you too. You want to beat someone?
Yeah, we'll have you beat someone later, but we'll save your energy for the fight. Light heavyweight, you've had a fight or two at light heavyweight, but that's a little heavier than you normally fight, correct?
Yeah, correct. But I like challenge, so that's why I'm here.
The fight's going on. It'll be a pay-per-view. That'll be at 8 p.m., and that'll be...
Tonight?
No, let's see. It doesn't say Saturday. I'm guessing in Vegas.
Saturday,
Yeah,
7.
the zone. That's DAZN. And Dmitry, your opponent, is undefeated, I believe.
Yes,
Not for long.
he's undefeated. He's a really good fighter. He's a really good fighter, solid champion. Like 4 or 5 years ago, he was a champion in 175. And for me, he's the best in the division in 175. So that's why I'm challenging him.
How much thought do you give to this new world order where guys like Tyson, Holyfield, you got Floyd Mayweather, they're making all these great paydays, you know, after the retirement, you know, when you want to fight professionally at the highest level, there's an expiration date on that. You're 31, you're still in your prime, but you know, most guys don't see 40 in certainly lighter divisions and keep fighting, but to know that there's a huge payday potentially out there when you're 43 years of age, you know, fighting Conor McGregor or one of the some you know, TikToker or YouTuber or something, is that going to make it easier to retire, or would you never engage in that activity?
Oh, you never know. I'm not looking for that kind of fights because I'm making history right now. I'm busy making my own legacy. But like you say, when I went 40 or something like that, why not? Maybe.
Is your only loss to Floyd Mayweather?
Yes.
Out of, I don't know, 60 fights, pretty much? It's not too shabby. I mean, you're only...
60.
Yeah, you got 60 fights. You got one loss to the guy who's pretty much the GOAT in terms of pound for pound. I don't know if there's an argument about that. I don't think so. I mean, Mayweather's undefeated.
Yeah.
Retired undefeated and pretty much has the mantle of greatest of all time, pound for pound, I guess, unless you're a big Willie Pep fan. I don't know. Who's your pound for pound?
He's a really good fighter. He was a really good fighter. He good speed, good footwork. It's hard to hit. So, but when I fought him, I was 23 years old. So I have no experience yet. Big stage. It was different. But I learned a lot. I learned a lot from that fight, and I take that fight with I learned from that fight.
You feel like you could have beat him if you were 28 or 29?
Yeah, I need to wait a little more, like 2-3 years more. I need to fight first Miguel Angel Cotto, Lara, all that fighters, and then Floyd Mayweather. But now it's different. I'm in my prime, and I feel it was different fight.
Who do you look at? Are there guys like, what do you think of the current heavyweight divisions? Kind of exciting. Or are there other fighters?
It's a crazy thing, but I like the idea, of course. But it's a crazy thing. You never know.
How early you must have? I mean, if you got 60 fights and you're 31, how old were you when you had your first professional fight? I think we lost
really
the internet.
He's really.
Canelo, can you hear us now?
Yeah. No. Can you ask me again, please?
First professional fight. How old were you?
15 years old.
Damn.
Would you? And that was in Mexico.
Wow.
In Mexico, yeah.
Are you allowed to have a professional fight in the United States at 15, or do you have to
with your parents' permission? Yeah.
Wow. He
So
just had
you
his
can
bar
make
When
mitzvah.
I was 15 years old, I had to go to the hospital because my psoriasis broke out so bad that I was like, it was bleeding all over, and I was like itchy. And you had a professional boxing fight.
Who are some of the guys that you've looked up to over the years, or you maybe modeled your style after? Stupid internet. He's in Las Vegas.
I can't. Sorry.
I said, who are some of the guys that you've looked up to over the years? Some of the fighters, maybe styles you like. Could be old school guys you've studied.
When I start boxing, I watch Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard, Shane Mosley, Miguel Angel Cotto, Julio Cesar Chavez, Gilberto Roman, all of that fighters.
Yeah, Sugar Ray Robinson was not only a great boxer, but I think he was a great dancer as well.
Oh.
I think he had a whole review.
Really?
Chris, you can look it up, but I think Sugar Ray
Post-fighting career or concurrent? That's a fucking baller move.
Maybe both. Yeah, maybe post, but I think he had a whole he moved so well
That he could dance.
Yeah, the guys you got to be careful of are the guys, tough is great, resilient is great, hard punching is great, but the real athletes,
Right.
Floyd Mayweather, Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard, the guys who could really move,
Right.
those Roy Jones, the guys that were supreme athletes on top of being super tough, those have to be the toughest fights. Do you agree, Canelo?
Yeah, I agree. That kind of fighters is difficult. It's difficult to hit and always make a really difficult fight.
I know there was some talk about your opponent Dmitry being Russian, and people wanted to cancel or boycott or something. I'm whatever Russia's up to. I don't feel like we need to punish the athletes as well, and I think you feel that way as well.
I feel the same thing. The athletes don't have anything to that, right? And we need to go forward and do what we do. So he have nothing to do with that thing. So
The fight our connection's a little wanky.
I agree with you.
So I'll give a plug. Again, it's The Zone. It's pay-per-view. It's 8 p.m. It is coming up this Saturday. It's Las Vegas. It's light heavy. And let's watch Canelo claim another strap. Good to see you, Canelo Álvarez. And good luck, by the way, Saturday night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good luck.
Stupid internet. All right, we can watch. We have Sugar Ray Robinson dancing with Gene Kelly.
Holy shit.
Whoa.
I told you he could dance.
Oh my
That
God.
motherfucker's holding his own.
And he's short.
Watch, they're going to start boxing.
Wow. Not just dancing, he's a tap dancer. It's a whole nother art.
It's goddamn impressive.
Yeah, it's
I
not
could
hard.
tell you the guy could move, and that was what he took that into the ring. Yeah, I mean you can't tell the difference between him and Gene Kelly.
I know.
In terms of Oh, wait, is it going to tap a little?
Well, if you know what you're looking at, you can tell it.
One's white.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think he's better.
You think Sugar Ray's better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gene Kelly took a lot of shots at this point.
I'm looking at him more than I am Gene Kelly.
Are you
He's more
attracted?
engaging. No, he's just more engaging. He's more dramatic.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you.
It's really insulting.
Well, Alvarez is a great athlete. He's one of the best boxers of all time. I've put him in that category of great movers and stuff.
Yeah.
Could have brought that up when he was on.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I didn't want to
Could've
say
said that
something,
to his
then
face.
then it fucking freezes again, and I'm just like an idiot, just sitting in a bomb.
All right. Let me hit a spot here, namely Simply Safe. All right. Amy's a chronic sleepwalker who lives near a 4-lane highway, so that's not a good sign. And months ago, just a couple months ago, she was sleepwalking once again, and she was going right out the front door. But Simply Safe's entry sensor on her front door was triggered with a 95 decibel siren in the base station, and it woke her up before she wandered out into the streets with all the traffic and God knows what else. Amy says Simply Safe saved her life. Great company, great product. Batteries last up to 10 years. Peel and stick. You don't have to pull wires and drill holes and make a mess. Backed by the best 24/7 protection monitoring there is in the business. Less than $1 a day, no long-term contracts, and you can try it out for free and see if you like it. You customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at simplysafe.com/Adam. Go there today and get a free security camera plus 20% off interactive monitoring at simplysafe.com/Adam. All right, we'll take a quick break. Come back with Chris and Jill right after this. Speshy Weshy is the name of the special. It's streaming on Netflix as we speak. I think is it 36, 38 minutes? I'm trying to think how long.
Yeah, it's 30, like 37 minutes. I wanted to do a shorter version of. Well, Netflix wanted it too. They want to like experiment with like shorter stuff because even like the greatest comedians of all time. I just feel like an hour now is just so long for people to ask you to just pay attention to me for 1 hour and not look at your phone. It's like an impossible task because you can bop in and out of music, but comedy, it's like you have to pay attention to every word or you miss the joke. And it's just like, it's too much, I think, to go up there and do. I mean, I'll do it. I do an hour live, but for the Netflix thing, I was like, no, let's do a shorter one. So we'll see. So far,
how many minutes is it?
It's 38 minutes, but I don't even know. The thing is with Netflix, you don't even know how it's doing. I have no idea.
Well,
Probably failing.
We were talking about this earlier in the week.
Yeah, listen to that
No,
clip.
it's really
Fucking
good.
sucked.
I watched it last night
I hate
on
watching myself.
Netflix. Everyone hates watching you.
I fucking take it off
themselves.
Netflix. I literally can't. They were like, "Do you want to have a viewing party?" I was like, "Are you out of your mind?"
Yeah.
A viewing? No. I want to run away and die.
How long ago did you see it when it was cut? Obviously, you did it. So
No.
it's
So
not
what
really
happened
cut.
was I filmed it. We filmed it March 5th at the Gramercy, and it's whatever it is, May 6th.
2 months ago.
I was going to do I was trying to get a special HBO, Netflix, Amazon, wherever. Everybody was saying, no, we're not looking for this or whatever it was. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make my own special then. I paid for the whole thing, produced it. I was selling no tickets in Cleveland, so I canceled Cleveland, and I was like, let's just go to New York and film this special, and I'm going to put it out on YouTube. I was like, my career only really started to begin when I started to do the route of no corporate, no TV, just Patreon, podcasts, internet. I was like, I put my career in the hands of my fans, and then I'm starting to sell tickets and do all this. So I was like, that's what I'm going to do on YouTube. And then we filmed it, made it. Showed it to my agent, and he was like, why don't I just send this to Netflix, though, or at least send it around? At least, like, you gave them a product now and see what they say. And then they bought it. They were like, okay, well, we'll take it as is on this. And I was very adamant. I was like, you have to let me, A, put some of it on YouTube, which they have allowed me to, and B, no notes. Like, I don't want no changes because, not that I don't need Netflix. Of course, it's like great to have it, but with the way that my career is now with podcasting and Patreon and ticket sales, I'm like, I've been doing all this with zero TV. And, you almost like sell more tickets than the guys who are leaning into TV because the dirty secret is that's all smoke and mirrors now where it's like nobody watches that shit anymore. I mean, they do, but my generation, they don't. My generation is either you have a podcast and you can sell tickets in comedy or you don't have a podcast and you don't sell any tickets. Or unless you're grandfathered in. So that's what this special was, is just my own no notes. Me and my guy who runs all my podcasts, Mike Lavin, the homeless pimp, he directed it and we put it out.
You just went real fast over the homeless pimp.
That's his name on Instagram, the homeless pimp. But he's like a one-stop shop. He's an editor. He's like, what you guys have, but I can only afford to pay one guy right now.
The homeless pimp.
Yeah.
Did you want it to be 38 minutes? Did they pare it down?
No.
Or did it matter?
I had done, I did whatever it was, an hour and 5 minutes or whatever. And then I personally edited it down because what I wanted was I was going to put these 45 minutes is what I was going to put on YouTube. And then the other 20 minutes I was going to put on my Patreon, only as like a special for the Patreon members, or to get new people to come onto the Patreon, and that was the plan. And then out of the 45 minutes, there was a couple of bits that when I saw them, I was like, these aren't really as worked out as I want. And I figured, let me keep these 7-8 minutes back and have a little bit of springboard for the new material. So I took that out. And then what I handed them, Netflix, was the exact 38 minutes that I wanted. And they were okay with that. They were like, we actually have been wanting to experiment with shorter specials and see how that helps our algorithm and all that. So I was like, all right.
Jill, you ever think about doing stand-up?
No. But I really respect comedians, and I think it's a really hard job. And I feel so sorry for them right now because of this whole woke thing. But I was just going to write down a question to ask you, which now I forgot the question. No. But it has to do with, so you have this fan base and you have Patreon because really you're saying things that people want to hear, but you're not allowed to say it on television because they'll cancel you. So there's a demand for people telling the truth. People want to hear what you have to say without being edited.
Yeah, I've always thought you can't be funny and hateful, there's no way Hitler was funny because he was too hateful, so
you
it's
hear that, Adam?
That's what it is. I mean, maybe I don't know in his private time.
I heard Hitler was funny.
Yeah, I heard he was a
real
good
comedian.
He was a prop comic, and I don't know. Yeah, I think just doing this podcast route is just better for comedy right now.
But there's a hunger for it because the fans are buying it. They're buying tickets.
They are. It seems like it.
I think you can have an act where you seem kind of hateful, I don't know, Lewis Black or somebody like that, where it's you know what I mean?
The angry comic.
We can't think that's who you are.
Right.
That's
a good
really
point.
kind of what it is. You can say whatever you want. I always say I can act like an asshole and I can say asinine things because I'm not an asshole.
Right.
But if they think that's who you are, then there's trouble.
Yeah, and it's also, I think, when you go down the road of, listen, I want to do TV and film and all that stuff, but I had to start doing it the other way because I wasn't getting, I would either get fired. Every time I got the opportunity, I get fired, or if I, had a joke that swung too hard or whatever, or I just wouldn't get the part. It would go to somebody else. I was like, well, I have little kids. I have to just do this on my own. So I would like to do TV and film, but to be honest with you, I did a TV show last year and I hosted it and it was fine. And I was like, I hate this. This is 3 months of now me in a box.
Scripted?
Was it no, it was called Backyard Bar Wars. It was on True TV, where I fucking was out there with a drill, making bars in some idiot's backyard trying to make jokes. You know what I mean?
Oh, you love making things.
I love doing that.
No,
I could do that.
You should have given it to him. He loves to make things, right? I asked you if you built the table. You didn't build the table.
Bequeath things to other people, for hosting jobs. Yes, I'm a carpenter, Jill. That was my old profession.
But I remembered that.
Can we talk about the Countess for a moment?
Absolutely.
Does she ever speak of me?
Did you have a relationship together?
No, I just sort of fond from afar.
I'm seeing her next Wednesday. We're getting our eyebrows done together.
Could you bring me up?
Absolutely
For
bringing you
people
up.
like Chris who don't know,
the
explain
Countess is.
who the Countess is.
Oh, so Luanda Lesseps, she was married to a count, literally married to a man who was a count, and had 2 children. And when she got on The Real Housewives of New York 12 years ago, they got divorced. So, but she kept the title, and then she married someone in between for about a year. So she legally lost her title. But when she got divorced, she took it back anyway, even though she's not supposed to. But she took it back anyway. She
It's
never
like
actually
Muhammad
gave it back.
Ali. He had the belt, and the Vietnam War came up, and then they stripped him, and
But
then he
always
came
had
back.
the belt, and he kept the belt. So anyway, she's had a rough year.
Oh, really?
Have you followed her story?
No.
So she on the show. No. She had a rough year. She was drinking. She wasn't drinking. She was drinking. She wasn't drinking. And she
I
kind
like
of
the
fell
drinking
off.
version.
Well, she's more fun. I mean,
Yeah,
not more
that's
fun.
what I'm
She's
saying.
a fun. There's a happy drunk and a mean drunk. She's definitely on the happy side. But anyway, so she had a really rough night. She had drank too much, and now she's not drinking right now, and she feels a lot better. And she's doing her show. She sells out 3,000 tickets. I mean,
Really?
it's serious. Yeah, she's doing phenomenal. And I went to see her show 2 weeks ago.
What does she do?
Great. She does a cabaret show, and she entertains you. And she's not like a self-proclaimed Barbra Streisand singer. She can sing okay, but it's all the act. And
good.
she talks about her real life, and she's self-deprecating. She talks about it's almost like she needs something bad to happen so that she has her next
You guys
next
are
show.
getting together to get your brows done?
Yeah. She's got someone who wants to
You guys
do my
thread them?
eyebrows.
What do you do?
Well, I don't know. I think this girl does, I forgot what they call it, with like, not tattoo. I've never done it. There's a word for it where they kind of, I don't know. I don't know.
looking
I
at the
just
wrong
shave my unibrow with like a with a razor.
Yeah. The eyebrows are very important to your face.
For men?
They are.
Yeah.
For everyone. People don't realize it, but it is.
I shaved my eyebrows off once when I was like 17,
No.
18. Yeah, just like,
You're lucky they
I
grew
shaved.
back.
It was crazy. I looked fucking insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is weird
Yeah.
how insane you can look
Yeah.
without eyebrows.
Yeah.
And or a little hair coming out of the nose and the ears, then you're another kind of insane.
That's from
Disgusting.
taking too much estrogen. If you take too much estrogen, all this hair starts growing on you.
How's the Patreon thing work?
So, patreon.com/ChrisDComedy. How it works is I have put out one episode a week on YouTube on Tuesdays, and then on Fridays is the Patreon episode. So it's kind of billed as like on YouTube, you still have to be somewhat in a box a little bit because, an ad sponsor can take something away. This episode gets demonetized, whatever. But Patreon is like, do whatever we want, play videos, listen to music. Like nothing gets ripped down by YouTube. It's just
Direct to consumer.
direct to consumer, exactly. And that's, yeah.
And Patreon wets their beak for like a percentage?
Percentage. They take 3%. But if you started a Patreon now,
That's very reasonable.
might take 5 or 10%.
no, but even that's reasonable. So if someone pays $5, how much do you charge? $5, $10?
There's a $5 tier, a $10 tier. There's a $25 tier and a $100 tier. The
What do you
$100
get for $100?
The $100 tier, we say in the description, like, you're a fucking absolute asshole if you get this. But if you want to get it and be a dummy, then there's nothing else you get. You just give $100 and you're just
Okay.
like a super fan. But
They
we
love
say
you.
we're like literally do nothing for you, just spending $100. And that has quite a few people. 'cause
No, but you could say, I'll follow you on Instagram. I mean, there
No,
are things that
I'd
you
never
can do.
follow. No, I'm
I
not
don't
going to
know.
do any of that.
Is I hear Patreon talked about
How
a
much would it
lot.
cost for you to follow someone?
No, I mean, it's not even a
Else?
cost. It's just like I don't want to follow.
What if
these
someone
random
gave you an
people.
indoor-outdoor rug? Would that be enough
for a follow?
Yeah, would it be enough for a follow?
100%.
In.
Oh,
You
okay.
follow
Wow.
me? You got it. Free
100% indoor outdoor.
Patreon must be huge. I mean, it must be a
can be
huge
huge.
company,
Listen,
right?
yeah, and at least my, I guess, class, if you will, that is starting to get some life now. They're all on Patreon. It's like it's just a thing that the business changes all the time, right? Like you have to adjust, and it's just right now. And I'm aware that it may not be this way forever, but right now it's podcasting, and from guys like me, it's the Patreon is the way to go because at least we're almost like it's our safety net. It's like Shane Gillis, perfect example. Guy gets canceled on whatever SNL for a bullshit thing or whatever, and then his Patreon. I mean, he makes more money than anybody on that cast.
One of the girls from Vanderpump Rules, she got in trouble for something. She just had a baby. I forgot her name, and she has a huge following, getting paid because of that. People want to hear what she has to say.
Here's the way kind of business works and commerce works and the free market works. You can't just sort of cancel people that are potential earners with followers and viewers and everything else and not expect some other company to slide in and go, hey, we can start wetting our beaks and hammering checks. We see it all over the place now.
Yeah.
We have this one big group that decided they were going to be sort of the opinion police and start canceling everybody. And they have given birth to all these alternative platforms, which they are now the greatest gift you could give to, and we kind of talk about all the time, like the greatest gift you could give, Twitter could give to these alternative platforms is canceling people that were popular on Twitter because they're not going to die. They're not done earning.
No.
Many of them are young, and they're just going to go somewhere else.
Joe Rogan, didn't someone on Shopify left Shopify because he said something, and now he's got so many more followers because of it?
We on Spotify? Or
Shopify is where you get the rugs.
That's where
No,
you get
that's
the rug.
Spotify. Spotify.
Spotify.
Yeah,
Spotify.
Chris.
Wasn't
The
there
rugs
a
are
singer?
Shopify.
Right. No,
This
no,
is
this
Spotify.
is a famous
Spotify.
singer.
Come on,
Who was
Yes,
Sorry.
Neil Young.
Neil Young.
Said he was going to do it, like, I don't know, Joni Mitchell.
Yeah.
And then at a certain
Now
point,
he's much bigger.
yeah, the commerce
point.
the commerce kicks in,
Yeah.
and then they start defending the person that is saying the things that would have got him canceled, because ultimately everyone wants to make money at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like, definitely the money for sure, but it's also like I have the most fun on Patreon as a comic because
'cause
I'm
you're
like
free.
completely
Free.
unhinged, free, whatever. And again, I'm not going to come from a hateful place, but it's like I want to be able to make it, step up to the line or cross it a little bit as what I think comics should do, and I could just do that freely on Patreon. And but to be honest, even now, I think companies are seeing where the money is in this stuff, the podcasting. So I even feel like the ad people are a little bit more lenient on like a company. I had one of my real Brooklyn friends. One guy called into my pod and he was like using like he was saying like fag a lot on the show, and I was like, he wasn't me. He was like calling me that, and that's just how he talks or whatever. And this one company got all bent out of shape, and they're like, "We're going to take your ads off, and if you don't delete this episode," I was like, "I'll never delete it." And instead, I just went on the next episode
To talk about it.
and just called that company out. I was like, "Can you believe this?" Off freaking Tommy Blue Eyes, who everybody on the show loves. They're thinking that he's a homophobe and blah, blah, blah. And then another sponsor was like...
You're telling me that Butt Plugs and Beyond dropped their sponsorship of the show?
Yeah.
People are so sensitive.
Yeah.
Well, what if they're listening? We'll sign them up here.
Sign them up, baby. And then some other sponsor was like, you know what? We're going to re-up you for twice. We're free speech. And that was bullshit of them. And
Right.
it worked out, So it was like, whatever, then let the other company leave.
How is YouTube compared to Patreon in terms of
YouTube
earnings?
is, for me at least, YouTube is the way. YouTube goes out to the masses. That's the one that I hope to get all these views on, because Patreon is small.
Right.
So,
right.
but you try to get people into the Patreon by giving out, you give it out for free and then
Right.
try to get it. That's
is
the
it
plan.
No, but it's for free giving it out, but do you earn, is it decent money on
Yeah.
YouTube?
Yeah, because that's where the ads go and that's where it gets monetized, And I still have a relatively small, platform, but it's lucrative, Like my friends who have way bigger platforms are like, these guys are making obscene money. And
Well,
girls.
I've talked about this all the time. It's been going on for a while. I sort of learned it years ago when we were doing the podcast, which is, I think the old model used to be everyone wanted that share and the demo, and we got, 39 million people watched the Dukes of Hazzard on Friday night on ABC,
Right,
and
right,
now
right,
it's
right.
like you basically just need 100,000 people you can extort on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And you sell them a ticket, you sell them a T-shirt, they sign up for Patreon, they go to your YouTube page,
fans.
whatever.
Your
That's
fans.
it. You just
Let's
need
call
this.
it conversion.
You need this little army of people that
Love
dig
you.
your shit and
That love
buy
you.
the tickets and show up at the shows. And everyone needs their own little army. And if it's a little bigger, you do better. But it's like you don't need a 36 share of America or anything like
Doesn't
that.
even exist
I don't.
anymore.
I was going to say, I don't even think if you went for that, I don't even think it's possible anymore. I think now just the niche stuff is possible. Like for me, it's like I'm happy that I can spend all this time with my daughters, give them a good life, and like relatively maintain my anonymity. Whereas if I was, selling the tickets I was selling or making the money I was making 15 years ago, I would only be able to get that if I was on a sitcom and relatively well known, and then you lose all your privacy. I don't have to deal with that, but yet, I'm doing
But
well.
how did you start in terms of your
Because
career?
I had a pilot for CBS that failed. I got fired from Netflix. I kept getting fired from all the TV corporate stuff. So I
And
said,
that's the best thing that ever happened to you.
yeah, it was like my girlfriend was pregnant with my first daughter at the time. We had nothing. I just had gotten a CBS pilot that we were working on for a year, and we thought, Les Moonves told me I was going to be the next Ray Romano, and blah, 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 and then it just goes away like that. And then I'm like, well, now what? So then I started doing the podcast and leaning into that and just saying, I need fans. How do I get fans?
How do you get them to start? When you're a comedian starting out, how do you start getting that? I don't know. How do you start?
I just started fucking put the mic on and just started doing a podcast.
And you just
You know,
let people find you.
yeah, I
and
just
tell-
was promoting it on my social medias, and little by little, it just starts to grow. You get on your peers' podcasts, Well, Adam you were one of the first guys. I mean,
Right.
you and Rogan were, I feel like, were the first big ones to start to be like, oh wow, this is really.
He's a funny guy.
He
You
was
should watch
Adam
him.
was probably one of the first ones, at least
Yeah,
that my
just-
peers were like, oh wow,
I
look at what
just
Carolla's
did
doing.
it because I like talking.
Yeah.
I
It's
didn't
kind of the
really
same
think
thing.
about
Just
it.
turn on the mic and start chatting.
It's just a new radio
Yeah.
show. It's just a new way. Like, it used to, I used to go on the Opie and Anthony show when I first started, and that podcast wasn't available then, but that was where all the stuff was. Now it's like, you go on a podcast and it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's pretty much you're just putting your ideas into people's heads.
Yeah.
And when people say, "What do you want to do?" I just go, "I want to put my idea in their head." And so
Yeah.
you can do that with a podcast. You can do it with a book. You can do it with stand-up. You can do it with a sitcom.
Yeah.
Although there are rules with the
Yeah.
sitcom.
Well, it
Yeah.
is a shortcut, right? So having a television show is a shortcut to getting fans, to getting that start.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have some base to build off. I built my base off of terrestrial radio, so
Right.
I was doing.
You had a show with Dr. Drew too on TV.
Yeah.
Big,
Oh,
big
that's
show,
true.
Right?
Big
Loveline?
show, yeah.
Loveline.
But
Oh, I
you were
forgot
when
about
those-
that little show. That little show. That's where you became world famous.
But that's
It's a
when
little
those
show.
mediums were the thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like
That was the
TV was
seed.
big back then. I
Yeah.
mean, not that it's small. It's still something, but I don't think there's an argument that it's not as big as it was.
Oh, it's not as big as it
But it's still something. I don't want to say
No, we
TV.
were on MTV, and
Yeah.
you'd get recognized everywhere you went
Yeah.
just from being on MTV at midnight.
Yeah.
which
And the commercials,
that, that world doesn't exist anymore.
But I remember when they started, I don't know if the right word is like cheating on the ratings, because it used to be live ratings. That was what you would hear about. Last night you had, like you said, 36 million. And then when the ratings were going down so fast, they couldn't even keep up for the advertisers. So then they did this thing called +3. So it was live +3, and they were comparing that to last year live. So of course the ratings were going up.
So +3, like there was three
nights.
people in
No,
your
3
room,
nights.
or 3 nights?
3 nights, sorry. So if you aired on Monday, the ratings wouldn't come out until like Friday, and they probably do it today, because they would add the ratings for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday together. And that's because they feel that because people recorded it on TiVo and DVR, that they're not watching it immediately. but
Oh,
they're
right.
Gonna watch
Oh,
it
I
within the
get it.
next.
That actually makes sense.
No, and it is fair, because that's the way people's views change. But then when they were comparing that to last year one night, but not telling anybody really, it looked like the ratings were going up.
Well,
and actually television was going down.
Look, we would do Arbitron diaries when I was in radio. That people had a diary,
Right.
and they had a golf pencil.
They still have it for
And-
the ones
I
at
don't.
home.
I don't think they have Arbitron anymore. They went to
Portable people meter.
Yeah, they went to this other thing
Yeah.
where it's like
You basically wear like a tracker.
Record- recording
that's
advice.
for radio, but I'm saying television, they still do the diary.
Are they Nielsen still does the diary?
Because I know someone who's a Nielsen house.
Oh,
They
Wow.
still do a diary.
well,
And that's why Nielsen's are,
yeah. So they used to, but look, the rallies now is whatever the book says, whatever the PP personal people or the Arbitron diary. It's like how many people sign up for your Patreon, how many people buy a ticket to your show,
Yeah.
how many people order a T-shirt. All right, let me hit LifeLock here. All an identity thief needs for a shopping scam is your name, mailing address, email, and phone number. With that, they can start an online store account with their own shipping info. It's important to understand how cybercrime and identity theft are affecting our lives. Every day, we put our info at risk on the internet. In an instant, cyber criminals could harm your finances and your credit. Good thing there's LifeLock. LifeLock helps detect a wide range of identity threats, like your Social Security number for sale on the dark web. If they detect your information has potentially been compromised, they will send you an alert, and you'll have access to a dedicated restoration specialist if you become a victim. It's LifeLock, right, Dawson?
No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses, but you can keep what's yours with LifeLock by Norton. Join now and save up to 25% off your first year with promo code ADAM. Call 1-800-LifeLock or head to lifelock.com. Use promo code ADAM for 25% off.
Hey, Chris, we must every time Chris has been in before, Chris Distefano, but Chris, we had Dr. Distefano's anal discount emporium, which we must have played last time you were here.
Did we? I don't remember that. No.
I think you would have remembered it. It was a man show bit I did a million years ago called, it was Dr. Stefano, not Distefano.
That's right. Yeah, it's
okay.
Dr. Stefano.
But every time I hear your name, I think of Dr. Stefano, Discount Anal Emporium, which was a man show bit. Probably something you couldn't do today under that department.
More for a niche audience.
And I spring it on Chris in the last second, but you can probably.
I'll Google it.
We played it. We played it before. We'll see. We'll see if we can find it.
See, that's a good Patreon bit.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's the perfect Patreon bit to bring back.
Dr. Stefano.
You would do that on Patreon, they'd go crazy for that. I mean, you don't need it, but if you did, that's what it is.
Jill knows retail, so she'll probably appreciate it. Oh, here it is. This is Dr. Stefano.
Hello, I'm proctologist Dr. Carl Stefano. I've been in practice for over 20 years, surgically removing the stuff that people put up their butts for a thrill. You may ask, where does all this quality merchandise go? Dr. Stefano's Anal Emporium! I've got aisles and aisles of quality merchandise at rock prices. Aerosol deodorant, leading store price, $3.49. Dr. Stefano's discount price, 59 cents. Light bulb, 3-pack, leading store price, $2.99. My discount price, just 49 cents. Declawed gerbils, pet store price, over $10 a pound. Dr. Stefano's discount price, $4.49. The competition's prices are astronomical. My prices, astronomical. Right, little fella? Looking for rock bottom prices on carrots, cucumbers, and zucchinis? Then don't forget to check out our produce section. We've got freshness you can smell. And taste. Also, look for big savings on football, toothbrush, traffic cone, action figure, travel mug, and graduation cap and gown. All with prices in it. So if you like quality merchandise, you love to save money, and you don't mind stuff that's been in another person's ass, then come on down to Dr. Stefano's Anal Emporium. We got rock bottom prices.
Rock bottom prices in San Francisco, West Hollywood, and our newest store in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Classic.
That's hysterical.
Classic.
That's
so
Dr.
great.
Stefano.
The set
That
designer,
is so
the set
great.
designer really worked
I
with
think
money.
we filmed
You put a
that
lot of
at,
work in
at the
that.
99-cent store in Hollywood.
Oh, my God.
Like we got there like 2 hours before
Sure.
they opened.
Someone
and
ought to get
paid
this
them
film.
$500.
So was that on YouTube?
It was on the Man Show. I don't know. If
So
it's
So when was
on-
that? Like early 2000s, or was that in the 90s?
That was. I seem to recall it was one of the later bits I did. So it probably would have been like 02, 01,
Wow.
Yeah,
02,
Wow.
something
99
like that.
by 02.
Okay.
All right. Well, Dr. Chris Distefano is
There you go.
got a stand-up special called Speshy Weshy, and it's available right now on Netflix. He's got live dates coming up all over the place. He's got them in Red Bank, New Jersey, Austin, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona. And you go to Chris D Comedy to find out all about his dates, and the podcast, Chrissy Chaos and Hey Babe, is available wherever you find finer podcasts. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll say goodbye to Chris, and we'll hang out. We'll do some news a little later as well with Jill right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, it's man, Dave here from Seattle. Just want to say my girlfriend and I are moving into an apartment. She has 2 cats. Each cat is a $350 non-refundable deposit, and each cat has a $350 deposit. And each cat is $60 per month. So I had her register them as service animals, 0 charge.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Service cat. Jesus Christ. All right. There was this story that I heard on the news a couple of days back. We're in a drought here in Los Angeles and California. We're always in a drought. And the forest is always burning, and we don't manage the forest correctly. And then we have rolling blackouts because everyone turns on their air conditioning during the drought months because it gets hot, and then we don't have power. And then
Now we're going to have restrictions on water usage.
Right. And then what the governor does is he talks about getting a fleet of electric cars, except for we don't have the power grid to support the electric cars. And then he talks about cherishing our diversity, which is neither fucking here nor there when it comes to power and water. Like, he's the worst. Okay, so here's the deal, Newsom. We can cherish our diversity when the fucking air conditioning works and we can water our goddamn lawns. And then we'll get to cherishing diversity. But until then, I don't want you burning any calories cherishing our diversity. I'd like you to work on the fucking power grid and the forest not burning down every summer. So there was a story I was hearing about a water desalination plant that was off the coast, maybe like Orange County or something like that. And then I heard they'd been in permits. They've been trying to build this thing for 20 years.
Isn't that terrible?
And there's a city council meeting with the coastal commission to see whether we can build this thing or whether they're going to let us do it or not.
They have to. How are you going to put out your fires?
Tilt your mic up toward you, please. Well,
they're going to
simultaneously, yesterday, the governor said we're now entering stage 2, water level 2 shortage contingency plan. So there'll be no more hosing down the driveways or watering your lawn between this hour and that hour. So what I'm saying is we have this constant problem, which is we don't have water. We're living in a drought and we want to conserve water. But every time somebody comes up with a plan to get water, they poo-poo it. But it's not us. We would like water. It's a handful of yentas in the Coastal Commission who don't want. By the way, it's not good water, bad water, coastal. It's just they don't want anything. That's the point.
But is there a way to get the ocean water somehow here to be able to put out all these fires?
We're about to find out.
Well, we're going to talk to Brian Lockery, who's who Poseidon Water, by the way, and he's on line 1, and he's going to fill us in on this. So, Brian.
Ace Man.
Yeah, man.
And the rest.
That's right. Yeah. So I kind of paraphrased the situation, but you get into the nuts and the bolts of it. What is this project you guys have been proposing for such a long time?
Yeah, it's been about a quarter century is from when we first started it. It was about 25 years ago, and they've spent about $100 million so far on the permitting and regulatory process to get through. And we're at the 1 yard line. This is the last permit we need before we can build the project. And what it would do is it would take 100 million gallons of ocean water and turn it into 50 million gallons of drinking water every day. So that's about enough for about somewhere between 10 and 12% of Orange County's water supply needs. And we already have one that's operational and working down in San Diego County in Carlsbad. And that's why San Diego County doesn't face the same water restrictions as the rest of Southern California does, because they have this drought-proof, climate-resilient water supply down there. And we're trying to bring the same thing to Orange County.
So I go on this rant 3 times a year, which is, everyone wants to talk about, well, there's taxes, and why aren't there enough low-cost housing for the homeless? How come? Because the permit and the regulatory bureaucracy that we've built in California, like the freest place around, there's so much bureaucracy and so much regulation that you can't do anything. And I don't know why they don't ever think about reeling that in, because they go, where's our water and where's our inexpensive housing? And it's like, it's nowhere, bitch, because you guys have so many fucking rules we can't build anything.
I got sued last year by I didn't get sued, but I got a legal letter from a lawyer in California extorting me. We sold these plastic zipper, like makeup type bags kind of thing, for mask bags, and sold them into a big store out here. Do you know what Prop 65 is?
No.
Proposition 65 is this bullshit that California has that if it has any of these ingredients that cause cancer, you can't have it. You have to put a label on it. You must see it on every product.
Every gas pump, everything that exists.
Evidently, the plastic bag that I made has some chemical on their list of 1,000 in it, which, of course, isn't going to cause you cancer if you touch it. It's a little freaking bag.
Yeah, if you smoke it,
and the guys and this lawyer sends a letter to me, and he sends it to all the district attorneys in California to come after me if I don't pay him $20,000 to go.
This is how we roll.
This is California.
In California.
No other state has this Proposition 65. This is that's just an example. A small business, they could put you out of business.
Brian, I know, I feel your pain. So who's been the opposite? Well, first off, why does it take 25 years and $100 million?
Well, they changed the rules a couple of times on us, so we had to go back and get permits that we had already gotten again. So we had to go back to the Regional Water Quality Control Board. We had to go back to City Council and get an environmental impact report approved twice, different things like that. But this is it. We're finally before the Coastal Commission has the final say on this project. The hearing is going to be held on Thursday, May 12th, so it's coming up, and it's going to be at the Costa Mesa Hilton. The hearing starts at 9 a.m. I don't think they're going to get to public comments till after lunch, but if folks would like to participate, they can email me at info@hbfreshwater.com. That's info at H as in Huntington, B as in beach, hbfreshwater.com. Or if you just want to send a letter in, ocwise.org/support, ocwise.org/support. And you can just click and send a letter in. And it's really important that the Coastal Commission hear from the public on this, because there are a very vocal minority that is opposed to this project, and they are loud, and they will be out in force on Thursday at the Coastal Commission hearing.
What are they against?
Yeah, the question is, what would they say is the argument against? Like, it sounds very reasonable to all of us.
What's their objection? Yeah.
It does make a lot of sense. So their objection is when you draw the water in, even though you have wedge wire screens on the intake pipe, the screens are 1 millimeter. The slots are just 1 millimeter, which means if you took a credit card, stood it on its end, you wouldn't be able to get it through these screens.
Okay.
And the draw is very slow, so there's no impingement or anything like that against the screen. However, if you put seawater under a microscope, you can see things like plankton or single cell life.
Okay.
That gets drawn in, and that doesn't survive the process, and
Right.
so that's one of their objections.
They're worried about that.
Is that when
that a
when you draw the
microorganism
seawater
dies?
in,
Right. But ask these assholes where they come down on abortion. I'm very curious. The ones that are worried about plankton, where they come down on potential humans. I bet I know how they vote on that. Fucking nutbags.
Is there
Jesus
any
Christ.
difference between driving a car and like running over insects? I mean, this is effectively the same thing. Probably
By
the
the way,
same.
is this a private company project, or is this a
yes,
government
yeah,
within a
and
government?
and there's a lot of folks that aren't happy about the fact that it's being done by a private company and not a public agency. However, it is a public-private partnership. We would sell the water that we would produce to the Orange County Water District,
At
and
what
they would
price?
use it to replenish the
Right.
aquifer. So,
But,
it's
so-
a public-private partnership. And truthfully, if this project doesn't get passed next Thursday, desalination is effectively dead in California, because nobody else is going to spend 25 years and $100 million just to get tripped up at the 1 yard line again. So,
Well, you wonder why the state hasn't done it themselves. I mean, that's really the question, right? Anywhere else? I mean, I'm glad that there are private companies doing it, but is there a cap on that?
It's hard. No, it's just hard to find locations along the coast where you can do this. And so what Poseidon did was they went to where the power plants are that already have water pipes that go underneath the beach out into the ocean to draw water in and take water out.
Right.
And they got a 99-year lease on the back end of that property so they can build the desalination plant there. Because it makes sense, because it's an industrially zoned site along the coast, and there's not a lot of those. So one of the other objections that the Coastal Commission has is that sometime within the next 100 years, you're going to have sea level rise, and that could impact and inundate the site. And if you had a tsunami that came in combination with sea level rise and king tides, it could temporarily cause a closure of the site. And so that's one of their other objections.
Yeah, so if it
But you can
closed,
still raise
I'd be
it.
more
You can
worried
still raise
about what
it up.
happened with
So
that
it's-
tsunami.
Where's the governor? Where's, I don't know, the city officials, the council?
I'm
Where are
glad
they
you
with
asked.
that?
And I know you're not a fan of the governor, Adam, but I'll be honest with you on this one. He really came through big. He made a very strong statement of support of this project. He said, "We need this project. We need every tool in the toolbox, and I don't know what more evidence you need." That's what he told. That's what he said to the media and indirectly to the coastal.
Well, if you got Gavin Newsom on board, then
It's a big domino.
in your private company, it's done. Now, the Coastal Commission, do we want to have a way of governing where a very small group of insane people get to dictate whether we get to move forward with our water, or you fill in the blank? Because is this all from the Coastal Commission?
Yes. Yeah, the Coastal Commission is made up of 12 appointed individuals, 4 from the governor,
by the
4 from the Senate Pro Tem leader, and 4 from the Assembly. And they're the ones that make the decision. And unfortunately, their staff is really has opposed the project. And what we're saying is, look, don't say no. If there's mitigation we can do, we're already going to be restoring the Bolsa Chica wetlands and do other things to make up for the fact that we do have that impact. And when we acknowledge we have an impact on the plankton and the fish eggs and other things that get drawn in, we acknowledge that. We're going to mitigate for that. So if there's additional mitigation they want, tell us what it is, but don't just say no.
Well, that's the plan. And not only do they just say no, they have no alternative plan.
What are they doing now? I mean, is it a public resource that's coming, a public utility that's supplying the water that now you're offering to desalinate and sell?
Yeah. So, well, what we would do is we would offset is basically imported water, which as you've seen in the news, is getting lower and lower, right? We don't have as much snowmelt and water coming in from Northern California and the Colorado River. We've seen Lake Powell, we've seen Lake Mead. It's dropped to historically low levels. They've already reduced the amount of water we can get there. They're talking about bringing in water police, flow restrictions to keep people from watering their lawns on certain days and things like that. And we're all for conservation, but you need to also add new water supply opportunities too.
Sure.
And desal's the only one that's new and drought-proof.
How are your just curious? How are your pricing compared to what they're selling it at now? Are you going to be competitive, or is it they're going to cap it that all of a sudden it's like the drug companies where they get control of it and they start charging 10 times more because they can?
No, it would be a long-term 30-year fixed price contract with the Orange County Water District, where the water district only pays for the water if we deliver it at the time and quantity and specifications as specified in the contract. As far as the cost of the water, initially it'll be a little more, probably at about somewhere. Orange County Water District estimates between $3 and $6 a month on the average water bill. San Diego County had added about $5 a month on the average water bill.
That's fair.
But the quality of the water, you're talking about bottled water quality, and at the end of the day, you're talking about less than a penny a gallon for water. And when you look at your other utilities, whether it's cable or trash or whatever else, it's a pretty good deal.
No, that seems fair. But what happens in 30 years? You know what I mean? It's like...
Oh, in 30 years, the whole project gets turned over to the Orange County Water District for $1. So the project gets sold to the Orange County Water District for $1.
That's interesting.
So
No deal.
How old were you, Brian, when you started this project?
He was just born.
I was in my 20s, and one of our first flyers had my two boys when they were ages of 2 and 3 playing in the beach on one of the brochures we did. My oldest son now is going to be getting married next year, and my youngest son goes to UCLA. So, yeah.
Are you doing this in other cities? Have you done this successfully elsewhere?
Yeah, down in Carlsbad. So we built a project. We produced 68, 70 billion gallons of water for San Diego County. So it works. And that's the other thing is all the fear-mongering and scare tactics that people have about the project, all you got to do is point down to Carlsbad and say, we built one down there, and it's working great. They've also built them in Israel, Saudi Arabia, Australia. I mean, desal works all over the world.
Yeah, and they need it, and I get it. And good luck to you on the 12th, is it, coming up?
People show up. Costa Mesa.
Yeah, May 12th. Please come out. Costa Mesa Hilton is where it's going to be. Again, info@hbfreshwater.com is my email. If you want to email me, if you want to attend, I'll be happy to help you with the registration. And then if you just want to send a letter of support, there's a separate website, OCWISE, as in smart, OCWISE.org/support, and you can just send a letter in.
Thanks for shedding some light on this, Brian. I wish you all the success in the world and hope we can get this thing before your kids get prostate cancer.
God forbid.
God forbid. I'm not wishing it upon them.
God forbid.
Thanks, Brian. It's just
so
everything
infuriating.
Everything just takes so long here.
There's few things more impotently infuriating than knowing what's possible and not being able to
You guys don't have enough water to put out the fires. I mean, they're worried about the tsunami. So one of the objections is that if there's a tsunami, this will get shut down. Is that what you're worried about? If there's a tsunami, how about survival?
I've lived here my whole life. There's zero tsunamis.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, who cares about the place being shut down if there's a tsunami? You're worried about
that should be the least of our worries.
That should be the least of your worries. I mean, the thing is insane.
All right, you getting ready with the news?
I am so ready. Are you ready?
I will tell you about JBWeld, world's strongest bond. The brand DIYers and pros have trusted for over 50 years. Use their epoxies, super glues, putty sticks, wraps from projects big and small, practically any surface. Metal, wood, plastics, glass, ceramics. Keep it in your kitchen drawer, toolbox, or with your craft supplies as well. I keep it in the garage. I keep it in the shop. I keep it everywhere. Also, the proud owner of Herculiner, the original DIY truck bed liner. If you're looking for the world's strongest truck bed liner, Herculiner has you covered. Available at JBWeld.com, and you can find it at Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, AutoZone, Advanced Auto Parts, O'Reilly, Amazon, Michaels, and more, and it's proudly made in the U.S. of A. Hey, Jim, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services from Texas. Let's see, line 2.
Punch it up again.
Oh, we always do line 2, and line 2 is the only button on my thing that doesn't work. Jim?
Ace.
Hey, man. What do you do with
man,
U.S.
Fish
and Wildlife Service?
So I'm a special agent for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. I supervise the southern half of the state of Texas down here.
Is there any guy who works for your agency with the last name Trout? Because I just feel like that would be funny, like Jim Trout, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
I'd venture to guess that there is. That'd be perfect. But yeah, no, that's what I do. It's kind of like being a game warden for the federal government.
You got a JBWeld story that we can feather in?
Look at you.
I do. So I sent in a little email after I heard y'all announce on the show you were looking for good uses for JBWeld, but we had made a case here a while back where some fellows were coming out of Louisiana and poaching alligator snapping turtles, commonly referred to as loggerheads, and ended up seizing a bunch of those turtles and decided to use them as part of a scientific study, and attached radio collars to them and armored those up with the JBWeld water weld product. And set them loose.
Son of a gun.
Now, is this it's a collar that wrapped around the snapper? We're looking at a picture of one. Those things look like they're 90 pounds, maybe more. Those things are big.
Oh, that's like a 165-pound turtle there that you're looking at. That's a big one.
How old is that turtle?
You know, I've asked that question to biologists. Nobody seems to be able to give me a straight answer, but I think it's fair to say it's well over 50. Yeah. And probably much older than that.
Yeah, it could be 100
So you
years
put
old.
the homing beacon collar on the turtle, and then if the loggerheads show up from Louisiana to poach them, you can track them down.
I love that.
Well, that'd be a great idea, but I think if somebody pulled one of these out of the water, they'd be suspicious, because you can see, the radio device on the back. These are being used for scientific research. They want to know how far the turtles roam and how much habitat they use, what time of day they're active, that kind of stuff. So
they migrate.
They want those, they want those homing devices to last. And so they thought the best way to do that was with JBWeld to really armor them up onto the shelf.
I love it.
Well, there you go, a real JBWeld wildlife hero.
Wow.
Thanks, Jim. That's interesting. And those turtles, you ask how old they are. They look like they're 2 billion years old. I mean, they look so prehistoric.
They do.
It's the only animal that's been around in Texas since the Cretaceous period. So they're living dinosaurs.
They look it, and they're big too. Thanks for doing the Lord's work, Jim. We appreciate it. And thanks to JBWeld. And again, you get that at Home Depot, Lowe's, or wherever you find better adhesives. Proudly made in the U.S. of A. It's JBWeld. All right, now we can take a break, and we'll come back and do the news with Jill Zarin right after this.
And now, the news with a hot cup of Jill Zarin.
And that would be me. So, Adam, are you a fan of Sex and the City?
Oh, yeah.
A big fan.
Love that show.
I could tell. So everybody wants to know what happened to Samantha, Kim Cattrall.
That's right.
And she has not said.
Torn apart by dogs.
Loved her since Mannequin.
Yes. Oh, one of my favorite shows. I haven't seen that in years. That was a good one. So Kim Cattrall finally, after much ado, has revealed the real reason she wasn't on Just Like That. And I read the entire article. So she confirmed she will never play Samantha Jones again after Sarah Jessica Parker, Kristen Davis, and Cynthia Nixon reprised their roles in Sex and the City and Just Like That.
Did she marry someone rich? Usually when
She
people take a
married-
stand, they're independently wealthy.
She married a guy who owned a very high-end stereo company in New York City because I actually interviewed him to do some work for me, and she divorced him. He was a real bore. And then I think she might have gotten married again, but she's single now.
Really?
Yes, they even mentioned in the article that for a short time she was without health insurance. So I'm gathering the work has dried up.
So she did Sex and City, and then the reboot she's not a part of. But she
did.
was in all the movies.
No,
Wait,
no,
was she in the last
was
movie?
Not. She was not. She was not. She was once a central figure in the HBO series Sex and the City. In 2017, the actress decided it was high time she move on from her role as Samantha, even as a third movie was being written. It is a great wisdom to know when enough is enough, she told Variety in a new interview. I also didn't want to compromise what the show was to me. The way forward seemed clear, and for a time it seemed that Sex and the City was well and truly over, with the series creator Darren Star saying it's impossible to imagine the show without her. But in spite of all that, I think it's a grudge. I think she's holding on to...
She's pissed. She
She's
hates
pissed.
Sarah.
She hates Sarah. She hates them all. She even talks about in the article how she... is a work relationship. She doesn't have a friend relationship with any of them. And I think that they haven't asked her back either. So I think it's a mutual goodbye.
So she was in both movies, but backed out when they were developing the third, which I guess hasn't come out yet. I went to opening night of the second one.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
I never liked any of them, I'll be honest.
What?
I wasn't a fan of the movies. I loved the original Sex and the City, the series. I loved it.
All
And
right,
when it
let's
was over,
wrap
it
the
was
news
over.
and kind of agree to disagree.
Okay, there you go. Elon Musk says fees, for, as everyone knows, is thinking and trying to buy Twitter for something like $40 billion. And he says fees for some users may be coming to Twitter. Right now, Twitter is free for everyone.
How do fees work on Twitter?
There aren't any right now.
Right.
So that never made sense to me either.
How
he's-
would they work?
I think he's saying that he would charge companies, not people. He's saying if you're
Oh.
a
Yeah, if you're
user-
Microsoft and you want to,
Right.
reach a certain number of people beyond your followers.
Exactly. And I
Okay.
could see that, and it's kind of fair, if a company's making money off of Twitter for them to make money as well. I don't have a problem with that. Do you?
No, look, I mean, if you're Microsoft or whomever, Nike, whatever, then you get a choice. Is it worth it to you to pay X amount? I mean, you don't get to advertise on ESPN for free or anywhere for free. So
Or Facebook. I personally run ads on Facebook and Instagram, and I feel raped and pillaged every month. It's really bad, and there's absolutely no transparency with these companies. And, you can barely find out how much you're paying for what you're getting, and they just keep upping the prices. I think last month it went up 23% for no reason. It's supply and demand. It's all these, algorithms. So, Twitter hasn't been doing that. So I could see them starting to charge.
they talk about he's buying it. It's a done deal, I guess.
It's not a done deal.
It's not done.
Stock went down 10% yesterday. People are not sure it's going to go through.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was, or at least agreed upon. But I don't know when the start date would be. I don't know. I've never heard anyone go, when do they turn the keys over
Yeah, I think the
to
first
Elon?
I don't know.
domino or two fell, but like Jill said, it says a process that may or may not happen now.
Yeah, it may not close. The other thing is that I read in the fine print is that he's also going to have to pay off a lot of executives and employees based on stock options that they had with the company.
Oh,
if he
sure.
buys the company, he's got to kind of pay off all those people too. But he is going to finance it. He is planning to borrow about 25% of the price. And I don't know if he's going to sell bonds or
Fuck me
whatever
money.
he's going to do.
Wow.
He's got a lot of money.
All
But,
right.
if I had that much money, I don't think I'd want to buy Twitter. I'm just saying.
Probably
wouldn't be on
better
my list.
investments.
Yeah, I think so. But
What would
know
you buy if you had that kind of money?
Oh,
Would you get a yacht?
a big boat. Absolutely.
Get one of those
Really?
oligarchs' yachts?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
'Cause they're
but
probably
they
dealing.
say if it flies, floats, or fucks, you shouldn't buy it. You should rent it. So boats, you shouldn't.
Oh.
You never heard that one?
No, we're not on that demo.
I've heard
never heard that?
gas, grass, or ass. Nobody rides
Flies,
for free.
floats, FFF.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so a boat's probably not the best investment. I used to own a boat, and if I had put my money into real estate instead of that boat, I would have done much better.
How big was the boat?
75 feet.
Well, that's
It was a
big.
big boat. Yeah, it was a big boat. But if I had bought real estate, it would have been a better
Well,
investment.
but
I had a good time.
how do you measure all the good times
You
you had
can't.
on that boat?
You can't. I did, but I want to get another boat again eventually.
How big?
Like 50, so I can run it. I'm a boat captain. I can.
Oh,
Run a
are
boat.
you?
Yeah,
You certified?
certified, licensed.
Oh,
Absolutely.
that's
So
impressive.
I ran a 50-foot Sundancer for us until it was, I just couldn't do it anymore. So we got a bigger boat and I got a captain. But I used to take the boat to Newport and all over the place. Yeah.
How far out would you go?
Well, the furthest I drove the boat to was Newport by myself without a captain. I had captains go with me to Nantucket, and I would put them in a hotel because I was too scared to take that kind of trip on the open ocean. But to Newport, which is across the Sound from the Hamptons, 2.5 hours, did it by myself in the rain. It started to rain. It was such a storm, but I did. I docked it. Well, when it's funny when you have a bigger boat. If you have a bow thruster, which is kind of a cheap thing, it's a little engine at the front or the back or both of the boat, and you just have a joystick, and it kind of pushes the boat in. So it's like if you're parallel parking a boat like you would a car, you put your ass in first, and then the bow thruster pushes the front in, and you look like a hero.
Yeah.
When it's a small boat with one engine and no bow thruster, and you're only going forward and back, it's much harder to dock that.
Yeah.
Because of the wind and the water going
Did you have
in
a bow
different directions.
thruster?
I did when I got above 40 feet, but I started at a smaller boat and I didn't. So you learn. It's like driving a stick shift car. You
Right.
learn how to drive a car. It's better to learn.
That's
that
impressive.
first. Thank you.
Did you wear the hat?
Well, it said The View. The name of the boat was The View.
Oh, you had a
So,
View hat.
I had The View.
You like the
did.
TV show?
No, it's changed. I did in the beginning when Barbara Walters was on. I did. And I
yeah.
thought that the women were much more opinionated. I like Joy Behar because she still says what's on her mind. And I just hate that they always get in trouble for saying things. Like you said before, it's not fun anymore. They're all politically correct.
Yeah. They need somebody in there with a different opinion to kind of mix it up.
And look what happened to Sharon Osbourne. Whether you agree with her, not agree with her, I don't even remember what it was about. They canceled her off the talk because she said something to one of the other women that was inappropriate.
It wasn't even inappropriate.
No, I'm saying allegedly. I'm just
yeah,
saying
she
they
just said
canceled
Piers
her.
Morgan is not a bad guy. That was enough.
The nerve. Could
The
you
nerve.
imagine? She's canceled.
The
That's
nerve
it.
of standing
The
up
nerve.
for a friend and a countryman.
Absolutely a friend, and he's defended her anyway. So I don't even. It's very frustrating to me. That's why I really gravitate to podcasts because I like to hear what people really think. And I like to listen to ones I don't always agree with.
All right. So what the hell we're talking about?
Let's talk
Kim
about
Cattrall?
something else. Yeah, Kim. Let's move on.
All
This
right.
one's a good one. Escaped Alabama inmate and corrections officer had a 2-year relationship. Did you hear about this one?
I saw this story. Did you see the story, Brian?
No, with who?
Okay.
what?
Female.
This just happened a week ago. The Alabama
Oh, yeah,
corrections
these guys.
officer accused
Aaron
of
Rodgers' retarded brother.
Right.
accused of helping an
And
inmate.
Jodie Foster's retarded sister. They got together.
Yeah, that is quite a couple, I got to tell you. So this woman helped an inmate escape jail. They had a 2-year relationship that no one knew about, which included visits when he was in state prison. Officials have revealed. The search for Vicky White, 56, and inmate Casey White, 38, in case anyone's seen them, definitely call the police. A capital murder suspect entered its 7th day today. The escape unfolded April 29th, the same day Vicky White was set to retire at the Lauderdale County Detention
terrible
Center in
timing.
Florence. The pair went missing after Vicky said she was taking the inmate Casey White to the courthouse and was planning to seek medical attention because she wasn't feeling well.
They're both coincidentally named White.
Why would the inmate be going with her because she doesn't feel well? I don't understand. But the two never arrived at the courthouse, surprise, surprise. And Vicky White didn't make it to the medical facility, also a big surprise. Vicky White is now the subject of an active arrest warrant for allegedly permitting or facilitating escape in the first degree. The sheriff said records show Vicky White had made major financial moves in the weeks leading up to the escape, including she sold her home days before the disappearance for a price well below market value. Now, that's how you buy real estate in
That's
California.
right. You cannot also, I think he's like 6'8". He's like insanely tall.
How's he going to hide?
That's my point. It's tough to take it on the lamb when you're 6'8". You're so much easier to find. You know, we do this thing where it's like, he's a Hispanic male between the ages of, but there's a lot of them around.
He doesn't fit into the crowd.
There's not, she's like short, he's super tall, and you're not going to miss those two. Plus, she looks like either Jodie Foster when she used to play child roles, like Jodie Foster.
Freaky Friday.
Yeah, young Jodie Foster, but also
Do Freaky Friday next to her.
singer, songwriter extraordinaire Paul Williams. I think it was Paul.
Wow.
Oh,
the
you're
guitar
right.
player
a female,
from the 70s?
A female Paul Williams.
He sung
Could be his
I think
sister.
Paul Williams is a female Paul Williams.
He wrote Evergreen. Well, he looked like Jodie
wrote
Foster
Evergreen?
too, but there's some.
I didn't know that. He wrote that.
I think it's Paul Williams. I think you'll find. He's 6'9".
John Williams?
Oh,
'Cause
no,
I used to get him
With the straight
confused.
hair.
I used to
With the
get
straight
confused
hair.
with a composer. Is
it's,
it Paul?
That's who I'm thinking of, Paul.
It's Williams. Oh, screw
With
it.
the
Whoever
straight hair.
wrote Evergreen
Yeah, I know who you're talking
for
about.
Barbara Streisand. Who was
Very
that?
sensitive-looking fellow.
Yes, they had the same.
They do.
Barbara.
They look. There he is.
There he is.
You
There
are
he is.
good. That is
Yeah.
definitely a match.
That's my gift. Knowing
Celebrity
people that
look-alike.
look like Paul Williams.
Yeah, celebrity look-alikes.
Who look
It's
like
all
Jodie
good.
Foster. And yeah, he's 6'9", this guy. So,
So if
he
you happen
will
to
be
run into
seen.
them coming out of another motel, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they're probably in Motel 6 somewhere down the road.
It was like she was armed. I remember hearing the news story, and now they are armed, essentially, is what the news story is, because if they're hooking up,
They are armed and armed.
they are armed. He has her gun at this point.
His face is too high and hers is too low.
Yeah, it's a good point.
wonder
Hopefully
how
their
that
kid will
really-
be right in the middle.
That's going to be a movie of the movie of the week in 2 years on
that's,
Lifetime.
We'll cast this. That's Adam
Mm-hmm.
Driver who plays the
Oh
woman.
yeah,
Aaron Driver. Yeah. Who
This
plays
is
the
definitely
woman?
going to be on Lifetime, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah,
Jodie Foster, she could definitely play.
Don't do that.
I don't know if she's doing movies of the week these days.
I don't think she's doing anything these days. Have you seen her?
No, but no one ever sees her, right?
No, so maybe she needs work.
I think she's all
This
right.
could be a good gig.
Okay. Well, I'll reach out to her people.
I think you should call them.
Do you know her?
No,
Do you know her
don't.
people?
no.
I'll
I
reach
don't.
out.
We can go on IMDb and look it up for sure. All right, JonBenet. Remember JonBenet? I'm sure
Yes.
everybody remembers
Ramsey?
JonBenet
Yeah.
Ramsey. The parents were cleared through DNA many, many years ago. Well, the father is asking is bashing the Colorado cops for refusing to use modern technology and asked the governor of Colorado to have DNA testing in the case. It's horrifying to think that the cops locally don't want to clear this case anyway. Like, what are they hiding? Why wouldn't they do everything they possibly could to find out who actually killed her?
Well, first things first, she'd be in her early 30s today.
Was that true?
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
this is
it's
1996.
You know what always creeped me out
December
the most?
26th.
Creeped me out the most about the child pageant girls, the ones they dressed up like basically adults, but
Yes.
everything was like adult, right? It was the makeup, it was the hair,
Yes.
it was everything. The teeth, tiny
I know.
baby teeth.
No, they called them flippers.
What?
So they would put these. Okay, so most children who are 6 years old have lost half their teeth because they're getting their adult teeth in. So in order for them to have a smile that's natural, they would put something called a flipper in their mouth.
Baby dentures, basically.
Baby dentures, and that's why they have that.
Got
picture.
more
Can
macabre.
you pull up a picture? You'll
Oh,
see.
no, don't
If you
do
pull
it.
up any pictures of these children, they all have it's called a flipper. Look how much information I'm sharing
The
today
whole
with you guys.
activity is bizarre, strange, and foreign to me, thankfully. But first they blame like the brother, then they blame the parents.
Well, so would you. I mean, in fairness, they found her in their house on the day after Christmas in the basement in their house. I mean, you always look to the people closest to the victim. Always.
Was the brother like a step or something?
I don't know.
I don't know if I would. I have a boy and a girl.
No, I
I
thought
don't
it
think
was-
I'd blame
thought it
my
was the-
son.
I thought it was the parents. I thought
But
it was
what-
one of the parents.
Who
Else would get in the house?
I don't know.
It's
You
like
know
a
what? This,
spot.
this
You
whole
start in
thing
the
could
middle
have
and you
been.
work your way out.
This whole thing could have been solved if they had a Ring doorbell back then. That's
Indeed.
all we needed was a $26
How
item
about
to
this?
stick
They
to our
have
front.
DNA and they can solve the case. Why aren't they? What are they hiding? What is the Colorado police chief hiding?
I
He won't do it.
suspect they would give you some answer that was semi-satisfying, other than we just have the DNA and we choose not to pursue it. But I don't know what.
No,
I
they
really
don't want
know
to
what's
lose
going on.
control of it. They have it. They don't want to give it to an outside agency. They'd rather control it themselves.
Do you have a choice when there's a super high-profile murder, not
that's
to
what
get the FBI and everyone involved?
That's why he's going to the governor.
Well, I hope he gets
I
his
hope he gets
delayed
closure.
gratification and satisfaction.
Because, the
but-
mother died of cancer, right? Didn't she die?
Yeah.
I think so. The mother died
Yeah,
of
the
cancer.
mother died.
She never saw,
So they cleared everyone in the house.
Yeah.
I guess.
With DNA, which is the irony. So they have better DNA testing now. So I guess they were able to clear them because they had their DNA to compare, but they didn't have the DNA of the criminal to match because maybe he hadn't committed a crime before. But now they have more advanced technology.
So what do you think? You think it's a conspiracy?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think something has to do with the police department. There's something they're hiding. Absolutely.
And
The
do
whole thing
we
never
think
made
a
sense.
stranger just broke into the house and killed her in the basement?
Well, she was, I mean, okay, I hesitate to say public figure, but she was known in the community, right?
Absolutely.
Like some creepo could have seen her, at a pageant or something.
Mm-hmm.
But they had to get in her house, and then they, instead of kidnapping her, which is what you would think they would do, whatever happened in the house while they were all sleeping. The whole thing is very. You want to know the answer, and if you can find the answer, why wouldn't you?
I would. All right, let's do one more.
We're pleading. Well, the biggest one of all, the biggest news of the day is the Supreme Court has voted to overturn abortion rights and a draft got leaked. Now, leaked by who? I think that's an investigation. I'd like to know who leaked the story of Judge Ito. Is that how he says his name? Judge Ito?
Alito.
Alito? Sorry.
Ito's the guy with
Ito?
the hourglasses and OJ.
Apologies,
It's all right.
Your Honor. But in any case, it was his brief that was leaked. It was like 78 pages or something like that. And everybody's analyzing it. They're saying that it's not final and there could be changes to it. But I think it's something we all expected was coming. I live in Florida, and I'm horrified by what our governor recently passed, which was a 15-week abortion ban. But what the most egregious part of that was that there's no
abortions
exception
after 15
weeks. But even if I could live with the 15 weeks, there's no exception for rape and incest.
I don't
for
get
me, that's a no-brainer. I mean, how could you not rape and incest have an exception up to the 19th hour?
Would you put so there's two heads on this. One is what this is basically saying is it would be left to the states, and then every state would just vote on it, and they would decide whether they wanted it or not. Right.
But also the penalties are terrible.
Then it would create basically what we're already doing is it would create bluer states and redder states, and people would just go move to whatever states they agreed with, and we're already kind of going there already where people are moving to the states they agree with.
Well, they're gerrymandering too. They're trying to change the lines. I don't know
But
if you know
COVID
about that.
kind of sped up that. People in California got tired of lockdown, so they went to Texas or whatever. But would you be in favor of a nationwide number, let's just say 15 weeks or 18 weeks, or you decide on the number of weeks? Because people go, I don't think most Americans don't want no abortions under any circumstances. And most Americans don't want abortions in the third trimester. Everyone, basically that's most of America. So if you throw out the low, who thinks the morning after pill's an abortion,
Which is
they don't
horrific if you take that away.
They don't get a vote. And then you have the ones that are the other way, which is you can get abortion whenever, however late you want. We'll
and
throw
paid
them
for by the government.
We'll
and all
throw
that
them
stuff.
out.
Right.
Okay.
So now we have everyone in the middle, which is the majority. And now, in my head, it's up to the middle to decide on what the Mason-Dixon line is for abortion time.
That's a great idea. I would be in favor of a hybrid, which is, a number, whatever the number is a nationwide number, 18 weeks, so for example.
But there should be exceptions always for rape and incest.
And then after that, that's up to the states. If you want to allow it later, if you want to have another number in your state, that's on you, and that's on your constituents.
But not lower than the 8.
No, there's a federal
But you know what?
minimum,
They're
whatever
criminalizing it. Like there was some states that were going to make it not a crime, but more of like a financial
What do you think? What
penalty.
would your number be?
Oh, wait. Well, first of all, I'm completely pro-choice.
Mm-hmm.
I had an abortion when I was 16 years old.
Really?
Yep. And I'm totally, open to share that, especially in times like this. And my life would be complete. It was 6 weeks, but my life would have been completely different.
You'd have a 15-year-old today.
I'd have a 40-year-old today.
I was trying to be complimentary,
I know.
but I get it now.
And I think about that sometimes, but I know I did the right thing. But either way, whether I did the right thing or the wrong thing, it was my choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that it's a choice for women to make for themselves. I love
So
all
you
these
would put no cap on the number.
I could see putting a cap on the number.
What do you think that would be?
But there were also like the 13 and 14-year-old girls who get raped and the situations happen and they don't even know they're pregnant.
But
in
we're
their TV
looking for a
shows.
number.
I don't know. I don't want to even put a number.
You got to give a number. See, we're not going to be able to figure this out unless people like you give a number.
I don't think the number's the issue.
I think it is, because that's everyone in the middle would agree. If we could agree on a number, I think we could get on with it. But we have to kind of agree on a number.
And birth control. They want to take away birth control. Could you imagine?
I want the number.
You're not
Give me
getting
a
a
number.
number.
You're not going to. But
What's your
see
number?
now,
Let me ask you, what's your number?
I would
Are you
say
pro-choice or no? I don't know what you
I'm
are.
like I'm in the middle. I'm sort of normal,
Okay.
which is like
Common sense.
I don't want people getting an abortion 8 months in, but I am for all the birth control, all the morning after, and all that kind of stuff. And I would say you pick a number. Let's say, 18
I think it's
weeks
more of,
or
I think
some
it's
number
more, honestly,
in
I think
there
it's
somewhere.
more of a weight issue more than a number.
Weight?
A developmental issue. Yeah, like I think
Well,
if you've got a
I
4-pound
would
baby
also-
that could live outside your body, then that could be a number.
I think you could consult with, physicians and pediatricians and gynecologists and stuff and sort of go like, where is this developmentally? And, we have the science to kind of figure out when people are viable or have fingernails or
absolutely know everything.
hear noises from the outside or whatever it is. And we get to that number and we go, look, the people on the right are going to hate it and the people on the far left are going to hate it. Here's our number, 20 weeks, 18 weeks, whatever that number is. And we go, all right, that's the number.
Also, sorry if I'm interrupting. Drew would know more maybe than any of us would, but as I understand it, the majority, maybe the vast majority of late-term abortions, but I think everyone is philosophically against, are like medically necessary, right? This is a baby that's not viable or is going to harm the mother or cannot survive, and thus they have to do like a late-term abortion.
Or could
which,
turn out to be a publicist. Something like that.
There's
I'm
always one.
bolstering your point.
You really are. The point is, it would be an unfortunate situation to, have those off the
yes,
table.
you carve out, rape and incest and, severe deformities or whatever
right,
like that.
Do that. They don't want to do that.
Well, that's
They
what
also
we're
don't-
doing.
And they don't want to pay, obviously they don't want to pay for any of this stuff. But who's going to take care of these children who are unwanted? And I'm not talking about the middle class. I'm talking about people who are already in financial straits and things like that, who get pregnant,
Well,
didn't have the education to maybe
where
learn
you
about
at
birth
with
control.
adoption?
Of course, I love the idea of
Because I think a lot of people, they would be adopted. If you put them up for adoption, there'd be a lot of them adopted.
Not all.
Well, there's a long waiting list to get.
There's a lot of drug addicts and people who abuse certain substances who get pregnant, and if you take away the option of termination and they're going to give birth to a child that's addicted to something, you think that's going to be so easy to have someone adopt?
Yeah, but you keep going for these weird extremes like rape, incest, drug addicts and stuff. I'm looking for a middle here. They're included, but we still need a number. We need a number that you can't go past. And then I'm with Brian. If you want to, New York would vote and they would raise that number.
30 weeks or whatever it is.
So I need a number.
Not getting a number.
Well, so then what's your argument?
My argument is that it's my body and nobody should tell me what to do with it.
So then you can say 9 months.
Then 9 months.
Okay.
Then 9 months, because I believe that it's my body, and until it's not in my body anymore, nobody has the right. And I find ironic about, like Republicans, and I'm in the middle. I'm a very common sense person.
Right.
They don't want less government, less taxes, less charges, less everything. But we want to tell you what to do with your body.
Right. Well, I think their argument is at a certain point it becomes viable, and now you're talking about another thing.
But it's still viable to me, so that means I'm responsible to take care of it for the rest of my life.
Right, but you're responsible to take care of your kids after they're born, but you're not allowed to kill them.
Yeah, but I didn't want one. That's the point. I got pregnant, but I didn't want to.
Right, but I think at a certain point
it was an accident. It was ignorance. It was lack of education.
Right, but at
a
certain point it becomes a separate person, or it becomes viable. That's
true.
what at a certain point.
So, if you want a time, I'd say your third trimester, it becomes viable.
The beginning. Can't be at the end.
Yeah, it has to be the beginning.
Okay.
Third trimester.
All right.
Third trimester.
So
But
now
there's got to be still exceptions, but third trimester.
All right.
Sure.
So that's what we do. We sort of have this.
That's what a normal person, compromises. But then what about birth control? You're not going to allow birth control or a morning after pill or any of those things for people who, have unprotected sex because they drank too much or they had a wild night and they're scared. They don't know if they're pregnant. They're scared. So they deliberately take a next morning pill to make sure that they don't have a baby.
Yeah.
And that's also going to be knocked out.
No, I think you'll be able to get that.
No, not in Texas. Not today.
There's no morning after pill in Texas?
No, nothing.
There's
Nope.
nothing.
Should have talked to Jim, the wildlife guy.
Yeah, there's no birth control in Texas?
Basically not supported by the government, no.
Well, but can you get the morning after pill or
I
get
don't
your
want
own
to say
birth
I don't
control?
want to say 100%, but I'm pretty sure you cannot. And not only that, if you aid someone in the process, criminally negligent homicide. I mean, like they can arrest you for helping somebody else get a morning after pill. If I give you a morning after pill in Texas, I'm pretty sure, and someone will, I'm sure, call in and tell me, that it's against the law and criminal.
Well, Chris, now you got to see if you can get the morning
Chris,
after pill.
Careful what you
in
Google,
Texas.
buddy.
Yeah,
Get that Google working.
we were big proponents of the morning after pill on Loveline for many, many years.
I hope you still are. I
Yeah.
mean, there are so many young girls, who just don't know, and the poorer, the less educated are the ones who are going to be hurt the most. Listen, rich people, they're going to get whatever they want. They'll go to Canada.
That's a decent point. If
It's
you
the
don't,
poor.
Yeah, if your lifestyle doesn't line up with your state's laws, you can move if you have the means. But
Of
if you're
course,
not,
you go to Canada, you go here,
kinda
you're
shut out of luck.
educated. You made a mistake. But what about the people who don't have the money, who
Yeah.
live in a terrible situation and get pregnant and maybe by an uncle?
There's that incest thing.
But nobody cares about that. It's like no exceptions, and I don't agree with that.
All right, but you have it at the end of the second
I do.
trimester. All right.
Beginning of the third trimester.
The beginning of the third, but not the end of the second.
Because it's, there's only, so many weeks. So we have to be literally, you said you wanted a week. So we're going to say the third
So
trimester.
what number is that? What is
So
that?
let's divide it in 3.
Yeah, 40 weeks is more
Divided
or
by
less. So
3.
13, more or
Okay.
less.
So you got it
26
26 weeks. Brian, what do you have it at?
Maybe a little lower, but I like my idea of if the people of the state, let's say it's California or Texas or wherever, want it to be a different number, vote on it, put it in. The
What's your base?
right down the middle at 20.
20.
Yeah.
And where are you?
I'd probably go lower at, let's see, 10, 15. I'd say 4 months. What does that put you at?
16 weeks.
16, 17 weeks or whatever it is. 16. All right. So people a lot of people don't know they're pregnant. Mm-hmm. That's on you. You got to get your shit together. If you're pregnant for 4 months and you don't know it,
If you've missed 3+ periods,
you got to get,
sex.
that's on you.
Okay.
Emergency contraceptive pills are available over the counter to anyone, regardless of age in Texas, so says Chris.
Okay,
So,
I'm
but
corrected.
not yet. All right, well, that's why he's got a computer.
Thank God.
Let's bring it home.
Don't worry, Gina. Your job is safe. That was the news with a hot cup of Jill Zarin.
All right, let me just hit X chair here. Many of us spend more time every day in our office chair than our cars or beds, and that's why it is so important to invest in a chair with the right level of support and comfort to get the most productivity out of your day. X chair. Well, it's made my time. First off, let me tell you that I bought an X chair years ago. I just bought one to have in my home office because they're that good. Now
Boy, I need one.
they're sponsors. You're sitting on one now. Isn't it fantastic?
This is a really comfortable chair.
They have patented dynamic variable lumbar, or DVL, offers the ultimate customized support. X chair can even massage or heat up or cool it down. And now, thanks to X chair's new FS360 armrest, you can even adjust any armrest. I do mine all the time. It's the perfect position. I'm sitting on one now. I couldn't be happier. It's X chair, right, Dawson?
To xchairadam.com now. That's the letter X, chair, ADAM.com. Or call 1-844-4XChair for $100 off your order. X-Chair has a 30-day guarantee of complete comfort, and you can finance your purchase for as little as $30 a month. xchairadam.com.
All right. Jill, did you bring gifts?
I always bring gifts.
Mm-hmm.
So Allison, who's in the other room, and I came out with the candle line. I don't have the manifestation ones with me because I didn't have a one that wasn't burned in my apartment, if you can believe it. But I brought you my other ones. Guys like candles too. And
I love candles, by the
future
way.
reality star, your girlfriend,
Okay.
right?
Let
She loves
me sniff.
housewives.
I love.
You love candles.
All right,
And
that's
what I'd
good.
like to do is to give your listeners a discount because we love to give a discount. A 15% off both websites, JillZarin.com and JillandAllie.com. And I think we'll just go with type in Adam.
That is the
'Cause I was
discount
listening
code,
to
Adam.
the code everyone
Ooh,
gives.
nice.
It's Adam.
Give me that one back, Brian. I want
Whatever.
that one.
I like
got
the
it.
other one. This is a good deal.
It's a good
like,
deal.
This is like
It's a
melon.
good
This
deal.
smells like Hawaii.
All right, Catme, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Sure. And
look,
I got your friend, your girlfriend, a Scary Island T-shirt, which only she will get the joke
okay.
because
It's a pretty low batting average in terms of America, but I will deliver it.
deliver it.
Thank you very much for the swag. Always good to see you. Let's not take so much time in between shows.
Yeah, 10 years was a long time.
Next time,
Next time you're out playing tennis at someone else's house, just stop
Do you
by.
love that?
JillZarin.com is where you can go for all the information. Canelo Álvarez, of course, has the pay-per-view coming up on DAZN, and that's coming up this Saturday. Chris Distefano special, Speshy Weshy. It's streaming now on Netflix. And until next time, this is Adam for Chris and Canelo and Jill and Bald saying, Indianapolis. That's right. Coming up this weekend, Indianapolis tonight and tomorrow night, doing live shows over there at Helium. Come say hi. And until next time, saying mahalo.
Then, of course, you have the mom jeans, which are just high-waisted jeans. But I literally bought these jeans. I loved them. I put them on. And then I got home and I actually read the label. And they are actually labeled distressed mom jeans.
Oh.
Which I think is redundant. I mean,
They're for
just say
distressed
mom.
They're for distressed moms?
Yeah, exactly. They're actually torn a little bit, which I think represents how I feel on the inside.